Oh man, okay, guys. What a crazy weekend. Happy Father's Day, by the way. Um, let me, let's see. We have a lot to cover. This was an insane weekend, and also, like, I don't know when the last time I streamed was, but I think I need to, like, cover Friday's news as well. So, Iran got bombed by Israel. Like, where to start? let's let's start at the most recent news. Okay, start at the most recent news. Let's start at the most recent news. Hey, how's it going, Ray? So this is crazy. This happened like 15 minutes away from my house, and this is just such a crazy Minnesota assassination survivor and husband shot 17. This is such a crazy story. What Ethan do this time? Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna get into it, but it's interesting. So before we cover the Ethan Klein stuff, I need to cover what happened in Minnesota. So I put out a little bit of a video on it Saturday morning when I woke up and I saw the news. And I put out a video. But essentially what happened is a right-wing extremist targeted the top Democratic lawmaker in Minnesota and killed her, her husband, and her dog. He then drove, actually, he did that second. He had at first shot another Minnesota Democratic state senator, and he shot him and his wife, and thankfully they survived. He then drove 15 minutes south. He went from Champlain to Brooklyn Park, which is about 15 minutes straight south, and then he shot the top Democrat. So Tim Walz is the top Democrat in the state because he's the governor, and then he shot the second one. She's the top Democrat in the state legislature. She was the Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives. I live in Minnesota, so she's like very big in the local news. She led the fight against the Republicans in this latest session because it was such a shit show and things were finally settling down because she was the one, her name is Melissa Hortman. She was the one who actually did a deal with the top Republican, Lisa Demuth, and he went and he killed her and her husband and shot her dog. This freak of a guy. His name is Vance Bolter. How's it going, everyone? So an hour ago, he was apprehended. He survived about a 36-hour manhunt, and then he finally got apprehended. The gunman who killed the Democratic state lawmaker and injured another in Minnesota was apprehended late on Sunday night. A reporter for ABC affiliate posted on X. So let's take a look at him. Vance Bolter. Have family in Shiraz. Ethan Klein's warmongering rhetoric is fucking disgusting. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. Because Jesus Christ, I've seen some clips from Ethan Klein on his show on Friday, and it's insane. And the thing is, Iran is not a country that can be just pushed around like Palestine can. It obviously has a larger population, and so there's going to be more people personally affected, more people personally aware of the dynamics of Iran and of like Iran versus Israel, and so there is going to be a lot more pushback against what Ethan Klein is saying. Also, Iran hasn't engaged in the same kind of blatant terrorism that is so easily demonized like what Hamas did on October 7th. You don't have that like October 7th excuse. No, this is crazy. So this is an actual assassination. And one thing I need to show you guys is the Minnesota House of Representatives makeup. What was it? Was it this one? Not the members. Party control. I think this is what I looked at. The party control of the Minnesota House of Representatives. But what happened is this. It was literally a tie. So I believe it's 67 Democrats, 67 it's 67 Democrats, 67 Republicans, and there was a big issue where there was a Minnesota state representative who won his election, but because of the paperwork that he filled out, he wasn't actually a resident of the district that he ran in, and so his election got overturned. And then the Republicans were basically saying like, oh, well, you don't have enough people, we have the majority, you only have 66 people, so we should be able to have control. So we want a Republican Speaker of the House. And the Democrats were like, no, because in a few weeks we're going to win an election, and it's going to be a tie. So why would we give you control? And so what actually happened is that all of the Democrats just simply didn't show up for like the first 2 weeks of the session. They just like stayed home, and the Republicans were pissed off. The Republicans just acted like they could do whatever they want, but they actually needed 68 people there in order to fully officially begin the next session, and they only had 67, which is hilarious. So the Republicans were pretty pissed off, but then they did like a power sharing agreement. And then the other crazy thing is, so a lot of people are talking about how this person is a leftist, but that makes no sense. This person is quite obviously a right-wing extremist Christian fundamentalist. We'll get into that more, but he had a list of a bunch of Democratic state officials. He had Tina Smith on the list, Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, who's the Attorney General of Minnesota. But then who did he target first? He first targeted I think it's John Hoffman. He first targeted John Hoffman, and then he targeted the top Democrat, Melissa Hortman. And the reason he did that is because the state legislature is extremely close. The Senate has a 1-seat majority for Democrats, and the House is literally a tie. So you can see this. The House was a tie. After this special election, it was 67 Republicans, 67 DFL, which are the Democrats. So he quite literally targeted the top Democrat and made it so the Republicans have a 1-vote advantage in the House. And then you can take a look at the Senate, and there was a 1-seat advantage for the Democrats, which is now a tie. So it's not like he targeted 2 state senators. It's not like he targeted 2 of the 2 state representatives. He specifically targeted 1 state senator, 1 state rep, in order to give Republicans an advantage in the state house in the state legislature, which is insane. This is such an obviously premeditated political targeting, that it's just this level of violence is crazy. And also the circumstances of this shooting were nutty too. So what do we got here? Suspect Vance Bolter caught and arrested in Minnesota, lawmaker shootings report. Vance Bolter, the man suspected in the shootings of 2 Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses, has been apprehended after a major manhunt. Need to know. So Bolter was arrested Sunday evening. I think he was arrested literally an hour ago. Bolter allegedly shot both lawmakers and their spouses. He also killed Melissa Hortman's dog. Vance Bolter has been arrested. The suspect was arrested Sunday night. He allegedly impersonated a law enforcement officer. That's the other thing. Extremely scary. Guys, don't open up the door to police officers. If there's a cop that shows up at your door, call 911 and ask the dispatch if there's supposed to be a cop at your door. Because we know that Trump's Gestapo is using unidentified markings, and they claim that they're doing official business to maintain law and order. But there's nothing to stop people from just dressing up in tactical gear or putting on a cop uniform and impersonating them. And when there's already people who are officially sanctioned by this current regime doing unlawful capturings and kidnappings, then you really need to be vigilant, and there's going to be other people doing that as well. It's the perfect opportunity for people to just do extrajudicial killings and kidnappings when they have the perfect cover. Oh, I'm ICE. Oh, I'm an officer. Like, you got to come with me. Due process has gone away. So yes, call dispatch if a cop shows up to your door. If there's anything looking suspicious, if there's a single cop, definitely don't trust them, because a single cop could be indicative that they're like an extremist loner that doesn't have another friend or a partner on the police force. So yes, definitely like be very wary of police or anyone else that says they're doing official acts, like official violent acts. So the shootings took place early on the morning of Saturday 14th. David Carlson, Bolter's roommate, he had a roommate? Told reporters that Bolter sent him, as well as another individual, text messages on Saturday morning that began, "I love you guys. I've made some choices," as well as another individual. What? Okay, let's look this up. This is David Carlson. David Carlson. So there's a video of this. The still from the security camera where you see him in the rubber mask is so creepy. Yeah.
Sheets of body armor.
Wow. Is this really quiet for you guys?
Or any of that?
No. He was always kind of into the military stuff. But
dude, I just have to say, this happened after your roommate did a political assassination, and you're just like casually sweeping your front porch being like, he was always really into military.
Sheets of body armor or bullets or any of that?
no. He was always kind of into the military stuff. But it was just we were always like that. Me and him, we used to play army men.
How long had you guys known each other?
Wow, great fucking shot of this guy's gut. Who's doing the camera work?
So it's
Wait, also, that's fucking creepy. There's just a hand in there.
fourth grade. It's been 45 years, 50 years. God, it's been longer than that. Yeah, it must have been longer than that. Since
My fame on camera. Yeah, no, I was going to say that.
since I was 12, probably. Fourth grade. Holy. Forever we've been friends.
Yeah.
And then
Did you link him up with this house to live with you? Were you excited about that when 2 years ago?
well, he's been living up here for a while.
Oh,
He was living in Bloomington. He's a manager of a food place.
yeah.
And
He was the manager of a food place. He was... Okay, he's the manager. This guy's obviously like the manager of Papa John's, which I guess good advertisement for Papa John's. This is so weird. Like, this guy, Vance Bolter, where does he work? I think he was like the manager of like a Taco Bell or something. Vance Bolter. Vance Bolter taken into custody an hour ago. Okay, what is this? Let's just read this NPR thing. Food worker with fantasy of security career sought in Minnesota. So he had a fantasy of a security career because people were reporting on it like he actually did have a security career. This is insane. He has a fantasy of a security career, and then he made it and he added it into his LinkedIn to the point where people actually like reported on it and thought that that was what that they thought that's actually who he was. A nationwide manhunt is in its second day for Vance Luther Bolter, 57, who has been identified by law enforcement agencies in Minnesota as the primary suspect in the targeted shootings early Saturday morning that left Democratic state lawmaker Melissa Hortman and her husband dead. Authorities said Bolter disguised himself as law enforcement, and as you can see here, it's kind of small, but yeah, he's wearing looks like he's wearing a rubber mask, at least like a bald mask, as part of his disguise. Authorities said he disguised himself as a law enforcement officer during the attack, and news reports have focused on his apparent work as a security professional. But NPR's review of Bolter's online records and employment history found many of those claims about his professional life appear untrue. Dude, how shitty is our news? Yeah, how shitty is our news that that people are actually reporting that he worked as a security professional? But then NPR is like, wait a second, let's look into this. And then it's all fantastical. In social media posts and websites, Bolter said he had extensive experience as a security professional with training by both private security firms and by people in the US military. NPR found little evidence to support Bolter's account. He appears to have worked most of his career in the food service industry, and one longtime friend described parts of Bolter's narrative about his life as a fantasy. Bolter is also being sought for the shooting of Democratic State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, who were both wounded at their home. I mean, so fucking thankful that they survived. Authorities say Bolter should be considered armed and dangerous. They asked the public for help at identifying his location and are offering a $50,000 reward, but said anyone seeing Bolter should call 911 and avoid contact. On the website, for a company called the Praetorian Guard Security Services, LLC, Bolter described himself as part of the leadership team. NPR found no record of the firm having clients or providing any services. A call to the company's phone number connected to what appears to be a private phone line, not a business. The address listed in incorporation papers appeared to be that of a law firm specializing in divorce litigation. Holy shit, dude, this guy's actually just straight up delusional. Bolter himself appears to have no history of working in law enforcement, the military, or private security. But why are people saying that Tim Walz hired him? That's what I don't understand. During a press conference Saturday, Drew Evans, commissioner of Minnesota's State Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, said part of the investigation is now focused on Bolter's background, possible training, and alleged motives. Are you kidding me? He had a list of Democratic lawmakers and other the district attorney. We are working diligently on that, Evans said, noting Bolter left a written message recovered by law enforcement which hasn't yet been made public. It would be premature for me at this point to really say exactly what the motivation might be from these writings, he added, adding that it's unclear whether he had any specialized experience or training. According to authorities, Bolter abandoned an SUV that resembled a law enforcement vehicle at the scene of one of the shootings after he was confronted by police. He then apparently fled the scene on foot. This is what I don't understand too. He was shooting at two cops and he was able to get away on foot. They had his vehicle and the cops didn't chase after him. Guys, this is how shitty the police are. They go do a wellness check on Melissa Hortman's house, which random, but I guess it worked out. Didn't work out, but they could have saved lives. They go to the house, they see a guy coming out the front door, the guy starts shooting at them, the cops return fire, they go inside, they see Melissa Hortman's husband dead in the front entryway, they get the body, and they try to resuscitate him, he's dead. Then instead of actually going into the house to try to catch the guy who obviously just murdered someone, and trying to see if the top Democratic lawmaker in the state is alive or if she's harmed or anything like that, the cops call in the SWAT team and then they send in a drone to see if there's anything there. So while they're putzing around, Melissa Hortman, who could have still been alive at that moment, is just lying there being shot, and the guy ran out the back door. That's how he's able to get away. Oh yeah, we're not getting to the title of the video anytime soon. Sit back and relax, my friends. Numerous lawmakers and public officials in Minnesota, including Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, Attorney General, a Democrat, have said publicly they were on a list of other individuals targeted by Bolter. Okay, so what do we have here? One of his longtime friends downplayed the idea that he had any real-world military or security experience. He was always kind of into the military stuff, but it was just we were always like that, me and him. We would play army men. According to Carlson, Bolter did hope to open a security firm and purchase police-style automobiles to eventually use for the business, but the project never came to fruition. That was some fantasy. There was talk about it, but there was no movement. Okay, go to sleep. Go to sleep. In a video posted by the Minnesota Star Tribune newspaper, Carlson read a text message he said came from Bolter on Saturday. "I love you guys, and I've made some choices," Carlson read. "I may be dead shortly. I wish it hadn't gone this way." According to Carlson, Bolter strongly opposed abortion rights, but hadn't spoken about the issue in years. Bolter may have met one of the targets of Saturday's attack. Bolter also claimed to have worked in Africa, activities that may have included an evangelical ministry. "I'm currently in the Democratic Republic of Congo working on several projects." He said he had made the trip to talk with officials about our private business projects that are all moving forward. NPR wasn't able to confirm the veracity of that claim. Bolter apparently worked for a number of years as a convenience store and food services manager, posting this spring on LinkedIn that he was looking to get back into the U.S. food industry. Pretty open to positions, other leadership positions outside of the food industry I'm willing to hear about as well. I've been doing projects in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Central Africa, and so this guy is just completely delusional. He did serve multiple terms on the Minnesota Governor's Workforce Development Board, where authorities say he may have met State Senator Hoffman, one of the shooting victims. So he did serve on this. Okay, let's take a look at that. Yeah, so we saw that. So yeah, Melissa Hortman. So he served on this board. Okay, let's just see if we can find this guy. I don't know where anything on this would be. Acupuncture Advisory Council, Advisory Committee meeting, Workforce Development. Let's just look at that. On Workforce, Governor's Workforce Development Board, $55 per diem plus expenses. Oh yeah, that's a real big, powerful board right there. William McCarthy, Luann Bartley, Vance Bolter, appointment type, member number 8. You have his email at LinkedIn. He got appointed in 2016. He ended in 2018. I mean, interesting. So what does this even do? The board consists of 41 voting members. The Governor's Workforce Development Board, under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, shall assist the governor in developing, implementing, and modifying the state plan, review of statewide policies and programs, providing recommendations on actions to align and improve the workforce development systems and programs, develop strategies to identify, to remove barriers for better alignment, support career path. So just like a group of people that the governor is like, hey, can you guys like give me your feedback on my workforce development policies? So yeah, it's not like he had any kind of power whatsoever. It's just like a group of people that are like, oh, well, we'll give you some feedback on your policies on here. It's not like he was actually a part of the government or anything like that. So if anyone says that, like, they're just lying. Minnesota assassin caught. yeah, that is part of the title. Okay, so let's just really quick look at this.
Yeah, it must have been longer than that. Since
my fame on camera. Yeah, no.
And then he quit the job and he went down to Africa, got things going down there, quit the food place.
Yeah.
Why are they saying food place? Why aren't they actually saying where he worked?
Well, he's been living up here for a while. He was living in Bloomington. He was a manager of a food place.
Yeah.
And then he quit the job and he went down to Africa, got things going down there. Said he wanted to start his own companies.
So the security company, was that fully formed, or was that just an idea
that
still?
was just
Yeah, he was a huge Trump supporter.
some fantasy. It was you talk about it, but there was no movement on that part. And yeah, he always had a fascination with military equipment. So do I, but I'm 100 miles away from killing people.
He's really got to cover his ass here. Don't worry, guys. I just roomed with the psycho political assassin that just tried to kill 2 Minnesota lawmakers. But, like, I'm 100 miles away from killing people.
Apparently in his manifesto there was some stuff about Planned Parenthood.
He had a manifesto?
Yeah.
Like, is it just me, or does this guy not seem shocked that his roommate killed someone? Oh yeah, no, I'm trying to find those videos right now.
I didn't know about that.
Was there any beliefs about abortion, or?
Yeah, he was a strong, but he hasn't talked about abortion for years. I mean, this goes back through the 90s. He really hated abortion. But
In the 90s, he really hated abortion, but now he's good. Okay, this guy's hilarious. We used like just I don't know. This guy seems like almost like a child. Like he just seems way too chill for this. He's like, yeah, we had to play army men, but like we're kind of into the military. But I'm 100 miles away from killing someone. Like I know there's also a video of him crying, reading the text message that he got. Is that here? I don't know why it's not listed. Let's just quickly take a look at this since we talked about whether he's a Trump supporter or not.
We even asked about Mr. Bolter's political affiliations, and David Carlson, once again his roommate and best friend, known him since 4th grade, did
Holy shit, this audio fucking sucks.
say Bolter voted for Trump and that he was a strong supporter.
Yeah, like obviously he was a strong supporter of Trump. Here's him. Oh, in the 90s he was really against abortion, but but he hasn't talked about abortion for years. So remember, he said he went to the Dominican Republic of Congo to talk about business opportunities.
There's people, especially in America, particulièrement aux États-Unis, they don't know what sex they are. They don't know how they're.
Why is it always the same thing? Oh, people don't know what sex they are in America.
Sexual orientation, they're confused. Ils ne savent pas ce qu'ils sont exactement, ils ont une confusion. The enemy has gotten so far into their mind and their soul. Et l'ennemi est entré dans le fond de leur pensée et de leur âme. But this word, mais cette parole, cuts deeper. Va aux profondeurs. Because it's living. Parce qu'elle est vivante. And it's active. Et elle est agissante. And God goes down there and pulls that out. Et elle peut entrer dans notre cœur et enlever tout ce qui est de mal. And he sets every person free. Et pouvoir nous libérer. There shouldn't be one person in this room. Il doit y avoir quelqu'un dans cette salle that leaves tonight qui est en train de vivre le péché. With a sin or a problem you're dealing with in your heart and soul. Peut-être que tu as un problème qui est vraiment dans ton cœur qui te fait souffrir. Because Jesus has the answer. Parce que Jésus-Christ a la réponse. But he may ask a question. Mais il va te poser une question. The Holy Spirit may come to you. Le Saint-Esprit peut venir vers toi. He may come to a man. Il peut venir vers un homme. And say, who's that woman? Et puis il va demander, qui es-tu? Or he may come to a woman. Il peut venir à une femme. And say, who's that man?
What the fuck is he talking about? He might come to a man and say, who's that woman? And he might come to a woman and say, who's that man?
Il peut demander à la femme, qui est cet homme? Il demande à l'homme, qui est cette femme? He already knows. Dieu connaît déjà. Or he may say, where are you? Il peut te demander, où es-tu? And when God asks a question, mais quand Dieu pose cette question, we need to answer. Nous avons besoin de répondre.
Jesus Christ.
Man that's doing something with a woman, même
What
si
the
c'est que tu as fait avec un homme ou une femme, and the word of God comes to me, la parole de Dieu vient vers moi, I can be like Cain, je ne peux pas être comme Caïn, and say I don't know, et dire au Seigneur, je ne sais pas. But then that's what I get.
What the Bro, like, what's the point of translating this? It's just as incoherent as if it was in a different language. If God asks me a question that I can answer, and if I'm like Cain, then I can say that's what I don't know, but that's what I get.
I deserve if I don't acknowledge God. Si je ne reconnais pas Dieu, c'est ce que je mérite. But God doesn't ask the question. Mais Dieu est en train de le poser.
What is the Karen Reed trial? Can I turn the video up? Yeah, I think so.
Because he wants to hurt our feelings.
In just absolutely nutty, man. So like completely incoherent religious babble, not even a message, just like a little spice, a little trail of anti-trans stuff added in there just for some flavor. Here's the text message. Oh, the audio mixing in this is crazy.
Maybe dead shortly. So I just want to let you know that I love you guys both, and I wish it hadn't gone this way. I don't want to say anything more and implicate you in any way, because you guys don't know anything about this. But I love you guys, and I'm sorry for all the trouble this has caused.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I make a
okay. Obviously, like a deeply disturbed individual, but I'm glad we're covering this because there is so much there's so much misinformation being reported on here. So we'll take a look at this. I do want to see if there's a live update with the governor speaking, but real quick, let's just take a look at some of this stuff. So here we have Vance Bolter arrested near his home, so we can take a look at this. What I wanted to look at is his wife. I also wanted to look at some of this stuff because I think this is so funny. So obvious misinformation here. More misinformation. New York Post, alleged shooter. Oh yeah, this one. New York Post, alleged Minnesota shooter Dr. Vance Bolter, he was not a doctor by the way, was a Tim Walz appointee. Like, he just lied about all of this stuff. People are going to say that he, first of all, New York Post, just complete misinformation here. Former, like, look at how they frame this. Look at how they frame this. Former appointee of Tim Walz, like he was part of Tim Walz's cabinet, dude. Former appointee of Tim Walz sought in politically motivated assassination of lawmaker and husband in creepy mask. So first of all, they don't say that it was a Democrat lawmaker that got shot and killed. Like, obviously this headline is insane misinformation, basically acting like it was a Democratic guy who worked for a Democratic governor that tried to shoot a lawmaker. So insane. And then what do we got here? A crazed killer with a political grudge allegedly donned a police uniform and a creepy Halloween mask as he shot one Minnesota state lawmaker to death and wounded another in a slaying that shocked the nation Saturday. They're not going to talk about the lawmaker's spouses either. Amass an uninformed... I'm like, uninformed? Wait a second, I need to change my channel. No, a masked and uniformed Vance Luther Bolter, who was a political appointee of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. I mean, not really. He was not a political appointee. He served on an advisory board. I wouldn't call that a political appointee. Shot Senator John Hoffman and his wife in their Champlin home early Saturday, leaving them seriously injured. He then moved on to former Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman's house, where he is believed to have slaughtered her and her husband. Weird choice of words there, slaughtered. Jarring images shared by the FBI included a photo that allegedly showed Bolter wearing a creepy Halloween-style latex mask. He left behind a manifesto listing the names of 70 politicians, including Walz and his Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and a stack of papers stating "No Kings," in reference to the nationwide anti-Trump protests, according to the police. The apparent hit list included abortion providers, clinics, and Planned Parenthood, sources told the Post. Both of the Democrats he targeted were pro-choice. Police are weighing whether Bolter had extreme anti-abortion views. Then they talk about Hortman being pro-choice. Officials were mum on the motives. I mean, completely insane that this is the headline, that he's a former, or that he's a appointee of Tim Walz, when they're literally like, yeah, and he wanted to kill Tim Walz. And that's how they fucking frame it. So he has this, he has no Kings flyers, and then they people are trying to say that that means that he was a leftist that was attending the protest. So, okay, I actually am kind of curious in this play-by-play of events. So, the gunman first arrived at Hoffman's Champlin home just outside Minneapolis, leaving the couple seriously hurt before moving on to Hortman's. After responding to the Hoffman's home, Champlin police notified their counterparts in nearby Brooklyn Park, where Melissa Hortman, 55, resides, alerting them to check on the lawmaker. So they knew that a state senator was shot, and they said there's a lawmaker that lives 15 minutes away, go check on their house. When they arrived at Melissa's house, they noticed that there was a police vehicle in the driveway with the emergency lights on, and what appeared to be a police officer at the door coming out of the house, adding that the suspect was wearing a vest badge and other equipment. When our officers confronted him, the individual immediately fired upon the officers, who exchanged gunfire. They retreated back into the house. And then the two cops that fired basically went into the front entryway, found Melissa Hortman's husband dead in the front entryway, pulled him out, and then waited for like a SWAT team to come. Then they sent in a drone, and then once they saw the house was clear, that's when they moved in, which I think is really bad police work in my opinion. Like there was a murder victim in the front entryway, and you decide to just wait and let the killer run out the back door and escape for another 36 hours. Insane. Oh, and then they have this. He was twice appointed to posts by Democratic governors, serving on the Workforce Development Council in 2016 under Mark Dayton, and appointed by Walz in 2019 to serve a 4-year stint on the Workforce Development Board. In his early morning remarks, Walz did not reveal that the suspect was his own appointee. Yeah, oh my God. Walz is covering. He and his wife ran Praetorian Guard Security Services, an armed security company that charged $2,400 per month for its top-tier membership, which offered 8 random armed patrols each week of your property. Like, this is such poor journalism. This is a complete fantasy of this person's life. This company did not exist outside of the website that he made. Police protect property, not people. Yeah, no, it's complete police inaction. Absolutely disgusting, because there's, I don't know, like, I don't think they've released the autopsies, but there's a pretty likely chance that Melissa Hortman was still alive at the moment that the cops confronted the person. The governor's office later stated that the 60-person board Boulter served on was unpaid and bipartisan. A 2019 document shows Walz signed off on Boulter's appointment because Boulter's, did they misspell the fucking person's name? Dude, why? Okay, I'm fucking done with this shit. That was horrible journalism. Okay, so what do we got here? The New York Post is reporting that the alleged, this is r/conservative too, so I'm really curious to see what this is. This will be buried by the mainstream media Monday. He was a registered Republican, so probably not. Minnesota does not have party registration, so whoever told you that was lying to you. They're literally, okay. Tim is just a knucklehead sometimes to the memory hole. Okay, so like, while I wouldn't be shocked if he were a left-winger with a grudge, which seems to be the MO of an assassin these days. Bro, Donald Trump got shot in the ear by a registered Republican, and then the guy who tried to shoot Trump at his golf course was also a Republican. Like, it's just Republicans that are doing shootings. These people are so fucking dumb. I really don't give a shit. There's absolutely no place for this shit in America. Okay, so he's like, well, it's probably a left-wing assassin with a grudge. I really don't care. Okay, so like not much action there. I wanted to see if there's I wanted to see this like misinformation here and see if anything got covered up. Accused Minnesota assassin Vance Boulter is tied to Middle East and Africa run security company. I can't find any evidence of his security company having other employees, and his NGO has just vague aspirations. They look like shell companies. This dude is a fucking spook. None of his credentials make sense. He has ties to deep state, my 2 cents. Yeah, he doesn't. He's just a nut job who does have fantasies. Like, I mean, we literally have an interview with his friend since 4th grade. He is not a deep state asset. It's confusing why he was able to run from the cops for so long, but yes, he was eventually caught. This is a rather comprehensive article by The Times, which indicates, based on a known associate's account, that the man is right-leaning in his beliefs and was suffering mental health issues. Just an FYI, hope they catch the SOB soon regardless. Can't believe he even shot the dog, a golden retriever. They're mad about the golden retriever. Was found with a bunch of No Kings posters in his car. Like, I don't know why people assume that just because he had a No Kings poster in his car, that means he was a Democrat. I don't really get that. Anyway, let's watch a little bit of this.
We hardly ever talk. I haven't talked really about abortion for him for years. I mean, and nothing that it was at length.
I think spook means they're like a federal agent. I think that's what spook means.
You know, that was that language.
And I was still kind of unsure, like, how did people know you had financial troubles? Like, you just heard that from him?
This
Well,
guy's
he was trying to find it.
doors are busted.
He would always want to work, like 7 days a week. Work. He was trying to get money to start his businesses and all that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, but he didn't like. You know, I don't like abortion, but
Yeah.
I don't go to this extreme.
What did you...
This guy, like, I know he's roommates with a psychopathic murderer, but something about this guy I like. Like, he's just so nonchalant by this. He's like, yeah, he really didn't like abortion. I mean, I don't like it, but, like, I wouldn't go to this extreme. Like, dude, your roommate just fucking did one of the biggest political assassinations this country's ever seen. And you're just, like, sweeping glass off your front porch being like, man, that was weird. Like, I understand where he's coming from, but I wouldn't do that. It's just like, he's just like chilling.
You know about these, like, squad cars he had? Like, what the deal was with these cars he had?
Well, he was going to use them for his security company.
Oh.
So he bought them, and yeah, he was trying to start it up. So
Because we've seen 2 today. Like, do you know how many of those he had?
yeah, I forgot that he had 2. He has one. They towed it away in the back. That was his primary car, and I guess he had another one.
Did you know that the other one had lights on it and everything?
Well, this one, the one back here didn't have lights on top. It just had lights on the sides. But I wish I.
When was the last time you talked?
I've known him since 4th grade, but like, yeah, like I don't know how many cars he had. One looked like a cop car, but I kind of just leave him to do his thing when he gets in his moods.
Last night, and you know, I wish I could go back in time and stop him. Say something to stop him. You know, you never know that your best friend's just about to do things that he's accused of doing. And
Was he acting different?
no,
He seemed normal.
yeah, I mean, besides the appreciation for a friendship and all that.
Bro, this is actually like a fucking SNL skit where they interview the friend of the school shooter and they're like, no, like he was completely normal other than like stockpiling weapons and telling me how much he appreciated our relationship together and how he wishes things could have gone different. Just another normal night. Like, I brought home a pizza from Papa John's. We watched the game. It was just like, he was telling me how deep how deeply he cared for this relationship and how important it was to him. But I just thought he was in one of his moods again. Dude, you're like, nah, he just seemed normal other than like the end of life confessions that he was giving to me.
Appreciation for a friendship and all that.
And
He kind of, you know, maybe he had to keep it all buried deep inside. And I wish I could have saw it, you know. And we were having another friend from Kentucky move up here, and he was very excited about that. I mean, he was happy at times. And
Oh man.
where'd you guys grow up together?
we grew up together in Sleepy Eye.
Sleepy Eye?
And can I ask your name again? If you're comfortable sharing.
David Carlson.
David Carlson. Okay.
What the fuck? Why is he just like... Did they actually just catch him outside sweeping glass? I love how he's just sweeping glass when there's like 10 journalists outside and you just hear the... just like the shards of glass all over his front porch.
Is Carlson with a K or a C?
C.
Okay. Thank you so much.
What the hell is that camp? Anyway, oh my god, I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm just really fucking happy they caught the guy. So let's take a quick look at man accused of killing Minnesota lawmaker arrested. David Carlson.
Now, breaking news from KARE 11. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. As we come on the air, we bring you news of the arrest and apprehension of shooting suspect Vance Belter, the man who had been the focus of manhunt
they must have busted
for
in the door
hours today in the area of Green Isle near a home that he owned. We can report that he has been apprehended. As you can see,
he owned a home up north. Like, this is what I don't understand. This guy worked in the food industry his entire life. He's roommates with a guy, I don't know exactly where. Then he owns a house up north. He owns multiple vehicles, at least 3 vehicles. The car with the police lights, the car that was in their house that David Carlson said that they towed away, and then they found another one of his cars up north too. Like, this guy has a strange amount of money, and yet he's living with a guy that works at Papa John's. It's just very weird.
From this picture that was just put out on social media by Sheriff Bob Fletcher, they obviously apprehended him alive in that area that they had been searching since early this morning around 7 a.m. And we understand that he was arrested today in a field.
And so we have a lot of new details about this arrest that happened just within the last hour. We also have new details from the crimes themselves, because the Hennepin County Attorney has already written a criminal complaint, and he will be charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder as soon as
what about killing the dog?
Brought into custody.
So welcome
Isn't that a
news,
crime too?
obviously, for everyone in that Green Isle neighborhood. They had been on edge last night, knowing that he owned property in that area and that he was clearly an armed and dangerous man.
Maybe it's just
also,
like a cabin or something.
Welcome news for all kinds of elected officials who are currently holding office and those who have held office in the past.
This
Already
is very
tonight,
quiet for you guys.
House Speaker Lisa Demuth put out a statement clarifying and saying that she was relieved. Dean Phillips, who served for the 3rd Congressional
Dean
District,
Phillips. Fuck Dean
for
Phillips.
several years, also tweeted out that he had been on that list, thanking lawmakers for their...
Do you guys know Dean Phillips, who was my congressman? He was my congressman. And he famously ran for president and held like a rally where literally 0 people showed up. He was like the co-owner of Talenti Gelato. Like, the guy's loaded, which is why he's just like, I'm gonna fucking run for president, and who cares? I'm not gonna run for Congress again. Like, the guy's just a rich son of a bitch.
Efforts. We know people across the state will be relieved that they have apprehended and arrested suspected shooter Vance Belter tonight. And again, we believe it happened about an hour ago in a field not far from that home he owned on Green Isle. We had been watching that scene all day and have video of the massive police presence that was in the Green Isle area since 7 a.m. this morning. They had Bearcats, armored vehicles, and we do know they were also using drones to help search for him. And he was found in a field, as we showed you all the images of what a bucolic area this is and how many areas they had to search from outbuildings like this one. We know they also went door to door to all the property owners in that area and searched their homes as well. It's a population of about 600 people there in Green Isle, and his car was found on Highway 25, not far from his home, about 5 miles from his home at 7.
So we got here, he was seen in Brooklyn Park, and he was caught in Green Isle, which is, I guess, this city right here. So that's like a 57.5 miles, kind of like southwest of Brooklyn Park. So pretty interesting how he was able to get that far. Like, he obviously had another vehicle, which would have been his 3rd vehicle there. Who knows if it's like a rental or something.
A.m., a car that he'd been using. Authorities believed they found that car parked there along with a hat that he had been wearing. Our Ian Russell has been in that area all afternoon and into the evening.
Dude, was that a cop, like, Caterpillar?
Russell has been in that area
That looks pretty sick.
all afternoon and into the evening and is near that scene where Vance Belter was apprehended tonight. Ian, what are you seeing?
Well, Julie, things have quieted down quite a bit from just the past 10 minutes or so when all of those law enforcement officials were here wrapping up, arresting and taking into custody Vance Belter. Was just up here at a home on the right side of the road here on 200th Street here, just a little
Bro is getting eaten alive for our news pleasure.
But maybe a mile or two or so down the road from Belter's Green Isle home here, where they say they found him in a field. Not far, obviously, from that home where we saw so much law enforcement activity kind of throughout the day, coming into that home, searching around and going door to door. As we were kind of driving around this afternoon and into the early part of the evening, we saw sort of convoys of cars, Bearcats and armored vehicles and squad cars going door to door in this neighborhood. Right down the road, 3/4 of a mile to a mile, just asking people and searching their property to see if he was anywhere near there. Clearly, right down the street here in this field directly to my right. As I said, the law enforcement has since moved out in the past 10 minutes or so, where they were celebrating with each other, saying, hey man, I love you, congratulations, thank you, we got this guy, just celebrating this arrest of Vance Belter here. As I said, we are not far down the road from where his home is located and where they were searching most of the afternoon and in the early part of today, where they found that black Buick and that cowboy hat that they think is his or you know, I think could be connected. I mean, all
is this guy wearing those rubber bands? Yeah. Shane Gillis, god damn it. His teeth are strangely white. But I feel for this guy. Yeah.
Different things is just right down the street from us, maybe a mile or two, less than a 10-minute drive from where we currently are. So clearly not too far from where kind of this all kicked off this morning and lasting into the night here. But as I said, law enforcement, as they were wrapping up, just said they found him in a field. So they weren't able to tell me too many more details past that, but they said he was just right there, just right next to us, right down the street here. So yeah, huge news here for law enforcement as they get him tonight.
Thank you so much, Ian. And so you talked a little bit about the locations there. What brought them out there again was...
I mean, I think this is evidence that this guy was not part of the deep state by any means. I mean, he went from Brooklyn Park and then they found him near his property that he owned. Like, he wasn't getting help from... It's still strange to me that he owns 3 vehicles, but like, I don't know if I think he has a wife, but I don't know if he's spending his money on anything else. And his dream was to open up a security business, so it would kind of make sense that he invested in like those weapons, that gear, that vehicle that he used to repurpose and make it look like a police vehicle. So I don't think just having 3 vehicles and having like 2 different properties is evidence that he's part of a deep state conspiracy or anything. But like, the fact that they found him in a field next to property that he owned just really indicates to me that he's just like a crazy fucking guy that was operating completely alone on this. There's no evidence that there's any kind of conspiracy at all in here.
The car, that Buick that he had been believed to be driving, and a cowboy hat that he was wearing on that surveillance video. Just explain where in relation to that was he actually found, and how close is that to his actual house over there? And I mean, obviously we'll find out later if he had been hiding in that field all day, but just kind of paint a picture once again of the location of everything in that area there compared to where he was found.
There has to be a phobia that describes this, being out in a field surrounded by bugs, right?
So direction-wise, if directly behind me is north, the way that I'm facing is south here, so this would be east and then west over my shoulder. This direction over here is that State Highway 25, 311, 301st, and 291, I think, were the roads that they were searching there earlier.
They just fucking pan over to a dark field. What the fuck is the point of having this reporter stand in the intersection of 4 roads? They just have him standing in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing behind him. We've seen 1 car so far. He's getting eaten alive by bugs, and they're just like, all right, here's our chance to get the payoff for having little Jimmy McGee over here standing in the middle of a field. We'll pan over to darkness.
I believe it was 301st was where they were actually looking at that Buick, where we saw law enforcement moving through fields, moving through groves of trees, looking at things and searching for any sort of evidence. I'd say it's less than 5 miles from where that Buick was found to where we currently are. We are south west of where that area was. This is where Belter's Green Isle home is, just right down the road, maybe a mile and a half or so, and around a little bit of bend. We're on 200th right now, and it kind of runs into and intersects 341st. So we are not far at all from 1, his home, but 2, where they have been searching most of the day 5 miles, if that, from where they were searching earlier.
Interesting.
A mile and a half from.
Okay, well, that's kind of what I wanted to find out. Let's take a quick look at this press conference.
Good evening. After a 2-day manhunt, 2 sleepless nights, law enforcement have apprehended Vance Bolter. That's 48 hours that law enforcement involved in a complex and dangerous manhunt.
48 hours.
Spent Father's Day away from their families to deliver justice for Melissa and Mark Hortman and their children who spent this Father's Day alone.
Bro, this interpreter is rocking it. Holy shit. This is making me want to learn ASL.
Stand here, and the hundreds who were involved in this. The state of Minnesota owes you a deep debt of gratitude. Thank you. You ran towards the danger, and you served the state of Minnesota. This is a great example of coordination and collaboration. Multiple agencies, federal, state, and local, coordinating together in a way to protect the public and close this hunt around. Multiple agencies were there as FBI laid hands on it and Minnesota State Patrol put the handcuffs on. One man's unthinkable actions have altered the state of Minnesota. Melissa Hortman was the core of who our values were. She had a hand in so many things that happened. The building that we stand in, she helped usher through so that we could respond from the State Emergency Operations Center with the professionalism and giving the tools necessary to law enforcement to do their job. To Melissa and Mark's family, I cannot fathom your pain and the grief that you're going through. We'll take solace in the memory and the work that Melissa did, and you can rest assured that we will put every ounce of effort that the state of Minnesota has to make sure that justice is served and the individual responsible for this serves the time for the unspeakable act. State grieves with you. The latest news is Senator Hoffman came out of his final surgery and is moving towards that, towards recovery. A vet is healing. And I think when the story comes out, and I'd like to say on behalf of the state of Minnesota, the heroic actions by the Hoffman family and their daughter Hope saved countless lives, and we are grateful. Bureau of Criminal Apprehension will continue to investigate. We will keep you informed. We'll spare no expense and no work to make sure that that happens. A moment in this country where we watched violence erupt.
What is he talking about? What did the Hoffman family do? They ran him out of their house?
This cannot be the norm. It cannot be the way that we deal with our political differences. Now's the time for us to recommit to the core values of this country. And each and every one of us can do it. Talk to a neighbor rather than arguing. Debate an issue. Shake hands. Find common ground. This is who Melissa Hortman was. In the first negotiating session that I had a chance to work with her, she got all the partners in the room, and she provided each and every one of us a copy of a book called Getting to Yes. And the whole premise was debating with a sense of goodwill, a sense of trying to come to compromises that serve everyone. And because of her, we did that. Because of her, we did that year after year after year. That's the embodiment of how things are supposed to work. It's not about hatred. It's not about mean tweets. It's not about demeaning someone. It's leading with grace and compassion and vision and compromise and decency. That was taken from us in Minnesota with the murder of Speaker Hortman. So for each and every one of us to truly honor, and we will continue to honor that spirit, but we will need to do it in just more than actions in a memorial. Conducting ourselves in the spirit that Melissa Hortman did her work is what the country needs to heal. I will once again say the deep debt of gratitude. These professionals standing behind us and countless others, this was, you'll hear from them, incredibly complex. And to take this suspect in with no life or injuries to civilian population and to bring him in alive so he can serve justice, which he will do in Minnesota, is an incredible thing that we are grateful for. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the professionals, starting with Commissioner of Public Safety for the state of Minnesota, Bob Jacobson.
Okay, so we can call it there. There's going to be more details coming out about this, and I just think it's so interesting how people are actually. I mean, man, we know that conservatives revel in violence, especially against their political enemies, because they know that this is a intimidation tactic, and people are intimidated by this. There's less people that are going to want to be taking part in local politics, because local politics has a major impact on people's lives, and you don't have the kind of security, you don't have the kind of even just salary and ability to create security for yourself that federal politicians do. So there's going to be way less people being interested in local politics. So crawling in farms and fields by drones. Crazy that they caught him crawling in a field just with drones overhead. The face of radical evangelical terrorism. But it's interesting, right? Like, I don't think I was worried when I first heard about this that there was going to be. I was worried when I first heard about this that, like, 6 months from now, Republicans were going to be pushing for this man to be pardoned by Donald Trump, just like they're pushing for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned. But I think that at the end of the day, it's going to be another example of political violence that conservatives might not actually want to be associated with. They might not want to be associated with the actual perpetrator of this violence, because this guy is an unhinged, isolated weirdo. But are they going to be reveling in it, like how they reveled in Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, getting attacked in his home? Yes, I think that this is going to be a time, maybe like a few months from now, 6 months from now, where conservatives are like, yeah, like Democrats get shot. That's the reality of this country. Democratic lawmakers get shot. That's what they're going, like, this is going to be something that is used. And this is going to be something that's like used to reinforce the idea that the Republican Party is a violent party, and if you stand against the Republican Party, then you are just as liable to be shot. So we can just take a quick look. Let's see if I find any of this. Yeah, this guy, Alex Lace, who is a Fox News contributor every now and then. Make no mistake, what happened to Melissa Hortman was a message to all Democrats: you vote against us and your life is at stake. Just completely insane. Do I have anything else on here? I mean, here's another example of like a Republican talking about violence, but, you know, I think that message is going to be kind of more common the more violence there is done against Democrats. If masks scare them, imagine how they see condoms. What happened to them is so fucked up. Imagine how scared they were. That mask is so goddamn creepy. I mean, he's impersonating a cop too. It's horrible. So on that same day, you had Donald Trump's military parade. I haven't really looked at this because I don't give a fuck, but I heard on the radio how this military parade could potentially cost up to like $100 million, and it was just a complete failure. Like, Donald Trump fell asleep during it. Let's see if we can find an image of that. The official number is a $45 million birthday parade. His birthday parade turns into a drowsy disaster. What intended to be a dazzling show of patriotism and power turned into an unexpectedly awkward affair as President Donald Trump appeared to doze off during his own $45 million birthday bash. And yeah, I would be shocked if it was only $45 million. The event, held on June 14th, was meant to mark both Trump's 79th birthday and the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary, featuring a grand military parade. 7,000 troops, 150 military vehicles, 50 aircraft filled the route from the Pentagon to the National Mall. But despite the grandeur, the spotlight shifted quickly from the military spectacle to the birthday boy himself. Trump looks bored, possibly nods off. Well, he's an old man. How old is he? 79? Footage and photos from the event showed Trump appearing disengaged and visibly uninterested. At one point, many online observers believed he may have fallen asleep mid-parade, sparking a wave of memes and mockery across social media. It's your birthday, it's Saturday night, but you threw yourself a $45 million parade and got bored halfway through, one viral post joked. Trump's lack of enthusiasm stood in stark contrast to the scale and symbolism of the event, which is tightly secured within an 18-mile perimeter and drone surveillance. It's just so fucking stupid. Dude, his eyes are literally closed. The look on your face when your $45 million military parade flops with a tiny crowd, and on the same day millions of Americans march against your corrupt administration. Oh, yeah, let's take a look at this video.
Believe me, if Donald Trump is president again, at some point or another, that ugliness will
This is quiet as hell.
And it will not matter what you look like, how you worship, who you love, or how you...
Bro, everyone looks fucking... They look like they're in church. They look so bored and miserable. Bro is definitely asleep. He's catching some Z's.
Vote. If you don't make 6 or 8 or 12 figures...
Dude, look at this. There's like 100 people right here. This is nothing. Oh my god. This is so... Were they expecting spectators to fill these? Was this an area for people? No, this had to be blocked off, right? This has to be like officials or something. How embarrassing, dude. It looks like the fucking press box is barely filled up, or like the VIP box.
If you're not famous, if you criticize or disagree with him in any way, if he doesn't view...
Oh my god, Emily, why would you even tell me that? I don't want to see that.
...his equal or relevant to his ambitions, I promise...
Holy shit, dude, this is so lame. They're not even marching. They're just casually walking behind a tank. There's fucking 6 guys just casually walking behind a vehicle. This is their parade? Where's the spectacle? Where's the showmanship?
I promise you, he will not think about you when he gets in...
They're carrying bottles of water. Holy fuck. That's so bad. That's so bad. Here's Trump looking incredibly depressed at his birthday parade because nobody showed up and it rained all day. This man-child didn't have a great day. He's just a birthday boy.
In 1914,
he actually looks miserable. Dude, they turned a military parade, which is supposed to be like the dream of every young boy who gets breastfed fascist tendencies from their youth. Like, oh, it's the military, here's an army man, isn't it cool? Watch all of these war movies. That's supposed to be like the most cool fucking shit you can think of for like a 5-year-old kid, and that's who Trump is. Trump is an emotional 5-year-old kid, maybe like 7-year-old kid, when he sees his first pair of boobies in like his dad's adult magazine. And they turned it into a history lesson. They're like, and then in 1823, they added 1 extra strap on the left shoulder of the military uniform, and they called it the Vondelwagen, and that was used to carry an extra 2 pounds of weight in the back of their satchels every time they would get deployed. It's like, dude, everyone looks fucking depressed here.
Between European alliances culminate in the outbreak of the First World War. The two sides engage in this...
Pete Higgs is like, I wish it was in Minnesota right now, congratulating Vance Bolter.
War of attrition, defined by opposing trenches, barbed wire, poison gas, and mass casualties. The United States initially...
He looks so sad.
...eventually drawn into the conflict in 1917. Despite having less than 130,000 soldiers at the beginning, the Army eventually grew to over 4 million, with nearly 2 million soldiers serving in Europe. In 6 months of fighting, nearly 50,000 Americans lost their lives, with another 190,000 wounded.
Bro, he looks so sad. That's so fucking funny. Okay, yeah, we're not gonna watch this. Gee, he's so fucking stupid that I had to tell Trump to leave stage. Okay, we're just gonna live out and make fun of all of the like inane, meaningless tendencies that's funny about Donald Trump. Look at his makeup. He looks like shit. Melania looks more presidential than him. He's just standing there. Melania's laughing at him, dude. She's fucking laughing at him.
And defend our nation's interests forward.
Surrender is not a Ranger word.
What a lame event. How fucking lame, dude. Jesus. Anyway, that was honestly great article from the Economic Times. Yeah, like it's supposed to be some kind of show of strength and fascism. But I mean, you compare this event to the No Kings protests that happen around the country, and you really see where the momentum is right now. Okay, so let's get into, let's close some tabs. I want to get into Iran and Israel, or Iran and Israel. Sorry, my fucking Midwestern accent taking over. Minnesota assassination. Oh, wait, what is this? Hortman's deaths. Wait, she's alive? She's speaking? Yvette Hoffman said in a statement that she and her husband John were devastated by the Hortman's deaths. Police are hunting for the suspect. Oh, she just texted, John is enduring many surgeries right now and is closer every hour to being out of the woods. He took 9 bullets. I took 8. Dude, she took 8 bullets and she's still texting? Or she's tweeting? What we know about the attack. A Facebook post from someone identifying as Mrs. Hoffman's nephew said she had thrown herself on her daughter during the assassination attempt, using her body as a shield to save her life. Holy fuck. The daughter, Hope, is in her 20s and was born with spina bifida, which her father previously cited as motivating him to get into state politics. On Sunday, the police had found an unoccupied car. Jenny Bolter was released. Okay, so the police also said on Sunday that Bolter's wife had been detained in a traffic stop along with 3 relatives in a car in the city of Onamia, more than 100 miles from the family home in the rural community of Green Isle. So he had a family home in Green Isle, but also was living with a roommate in some other city. Yeah, this is like a divorced man energy right here. Jenny Bolter was released without being taken into custody because she was cooperative. Drew Evans of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension told a news conference on Sunday evening, police have extended the search. Okay, interesting. So that's kind of what I wanted to, I just wanted to like tie up these loose ends. So goddamn, dude. Goddamn, Yvette Hoffman is a fucking legend, man. Took 8 bullets, jumped on top of her daughter to protect her, and then is out of surgery and tweeting, being like, I'm so sad about Melissa Hortman's death. What a gangster. Okay, guys. Israel's getting the shit bombed out of it. I creeped on the daughter's social media. She seems cool as hell. Amputee, disability advocate, very politically involved like her parents. Yeah, that's awesome. So Israel is getting the shit bombed out of it, and it's not good. It's not good. So let's just get one thing straight. Like, it's not good to bomb civilians. However, if your country is getting completely destroyed and decimated and basically getting bullied, you are warranted in returning fire. So obviously, like, target military sites. But you can't just let a rogue state do whatever you want. And so if you bomb another country, then expect to be bombed back. So this is Tel Aviv over the weekend. Live, Iran launches new attacks on Israel, blasts in Tel Aviv, Haifa. Let's take a look at this video real quick.
On command.
Oh, this is actually live.
The medical services. This is something that we prepare for year-round, and something that we medical services. This is something as a result of the latest barrage of rockets fired at our residential communities by Iran. It's continuing the pattern as we're seeing. Each and every one of these scenes are targeting residential communities, civilians in their homes. Early this morning, our police hotline number got the report of a building that was hit Our first responders and our bomb squad immediately arrived to the scene so that we can medically evacuate those that were injured together with the other first responders that are here, Homefront Command, the medical services. This is something that we prepare for year-round and something that we've been on high alert for since the start of these rocket barrages targeting our residential communities. I want to say to the public to please stay clear from these areas and continue listening to the instructions of Homefront Command.
Well, about an hour before all these attacks, a wave of Israeli missiles were launched at Noor, so a number of people dead and injured in these latest Iranian missiles.
I mean, holy shit, the complete lack of self-awareness when you are getting your civilian population is getting bombed, and you continue bombing the country that's bombing you, that's doing retaliatory bombs. Like, this is insane. This is like fascism taken to its conclusion, where you just can't get out of your own way. Your civilian population is getting decimated. Well, not decimated, but it is getting targeted. And instead of trying to sue for peace, you just continue the bombing campaign that is causing your civilians to get bombed.
Because the attack.
I want to rewind this.
On it to Haifa were also as the power just from shrapnel. The damage was not just to residential areas. The power grids in Haifa were also damaged. The crews there are still working on it to repair the damage. So it was a long night really in Israel because the attacks were successive. It wasn't just one barrage of missiles. There were several attacks, and so residents in that area, in the center and north of Israel,
I'm really happy only 4 people were killed. Like,
throughout the night and dawn hours.
Yeah, no, and so what are Israeli civil defense and home front officials saying to the population?
I'm glad the death toll wasn't
as you were telling
worse.
us earlier, they've given the all clear, but these Iranian strikes will undoubtedly continue.
Yeah, and that's why everybody remains on high alert.
Like, obviously, only 4 people were killed because they have bomb shelters in Israel, because they expect to get retaliated against for all of their imperialism that they do.
The instructions, you have to listen into sirens. The Israelis have the advantage of advanced warning thanks to their allies around the area, around the region and around Iran. So most of the time, ordinary Israelis would get 10 to 15 minutes advanced warning. That means that they have to make their way close to a shelter, and then they would receive instructions to go to shelters. They're being told that they have to brace themselves for days, possibly even more, of a life like this. No school, no businesses, no ordinary life, really, no planes in and out of Israel either. So this is a lot of...
Like, let's just get one thing straight. Killing civilians is always wrong. However, disrupting civilian life in order to show that the actions of their government has consequences to their personal lives is objectively a good thing in order to stop Israeli aggression and expansion and to stop Israeli bombs from falling. If the civilians of Israel can understand that, oh, my government is bombing Lebanon, they're bombing Syria, they're bombing Iran now, they're doing genocide in the West Bank, they're doing genocide in Gaza, can we maybe stop doing that so bombs stop falling on me, breaking my car, causing my kids to not be able to go to school, causing me to not be able to go to work? Can we put pressure on our government to be like, can we just have peace now so we can go back to a normal life? That is objectively a good thing. So as the BDS movement argues for economic pressure to be put onto Israel and to try to disrupt civilian life in that way, so too like sending missiles and damaging the infrastructure of Israel is basically doing the exact same thing as what the BDS movement is advocating for. Like, obviously civilian deaths is horrible, but as long as people are able to get to shelters and survive these rocket barrages, then like I really hope that this will lead to peace, and I really hope that a genocidal population, which is undoubtedly what Israel has, will start putting pressure on their government, because even though they might still be genocidal, at the end of the day, if you can't go to the supermarket and get bread for like $3 and eggs for like $3, you're going to want your government to change its actions. So I really do hope that Israelis witnessing the consequences of their government's actions will lead to a diminishment of the aggression in that area.
Many options have been floated, from regime change to slowing down the nuclear program, but there are gaps between the government and the military. And generally, there's a gap between the government and the citizens. There's a lot of support for this war with Iran. We've been hearing about how Iran has been out to destroy Israel for, well, pretty much since the inception of the Islamic Republic. So a lot of Israelis.
There's support in Israel for the war with Iran.
In a while, especially after the
that support needs to end.
Of Gaza, because they feel like Israel is finally taking responsibility for its own future, but that is very short term. I think most Israelis who still care enough to try and consider what happens mid or long term understand that Israel is in a problem. As time goes by, it becomes clear that not only will the United States not join the battle, but that other prominent world powers are not prepared to make the leap and join Israel in Iran in the actual fighting.
Well, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has been speaking this morning. He said his country was not seeking war and did not initiate hostilities, according to state media. Let's bring in Hamid Reza Gholamzadeh. He's director of Diplo House. That's a think tank focusing on foreign policy. Well, we've just actually lost him, so we'll try and get him back a little bit later in the program. So let's take a break, shall we? Still to come here in Al Jazeera.
Okay, let's call this. So, what do we have here? Iran launches a new wave of attacks on Israel, killing at least 3 people in Tel Aviv and hitting the port city of Haifa hours after the Israeli military bombed the Iranian capital, Tehran. The death toll in Iran has risen to 224. I mean, guys, if you want to know, like, who's worse in this situation, Israel killed 224 Iranians. Iran killed 4 Israelis, including 70 women and children. Yeah. The intelligence chief of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and 2 other generals were killed in Israeli attacks on Sunday. So the intelligence chief was killed and 2 other generals were killed in the attacks. How protected are Israelis from air attacks? We have more from Gideon Levy, the Israeli journalist at the Haaretz newspaper. He told Al Jazeera that most Israelis are very well protected. So we saw a little bit there. They have advanced warnings where they say go to the area of a bomb shelter, and then they have immediate warnings, which is saying get into a bomb shelter. First of all, the alarm system is extremely well functioning. This time we get alarms much before the siren. We can prepare ourselves. In most parts of Tel Aviv, for example, there are many shelters. All the new buildings have their own shelters and safe homes. So from this point of view, you have the feeling that the population is protected. However, this is not true for other populations in Israel, such as the Bedouin or the Palestinian citizens of Israel. Yeah, obviously the Palestinian citizens of Israel aren't going to have the same kind of protections that the Jewish citizens of Israel have, because those are racist in Israel, and Palestinian citizens are treated like a second class of people. But according to Hila Klein, he had coffee next to a Palestinian once. In the predominantly Palestinian town of Tamra in northern Israel, which has a population of 35,000 people and where an Iranian missile killed at least 4 people on Sunday, there are no bomb shelters, he said. But the next Jewish village of 1,000 inhabitants has several. Interesting. So there was a shit ton of bomb shelters in Tel Aviv. No bomb shelters in a town of 35,000 people, but then in the non-Palestinian town that only has 1,000, there's several bomb shelters. Just fucking nutty, dude. I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious racism. How can people support this country? I think that more nights like this will take place. Israelis will start to not only be tired and frightened, but then we finally start to ask, is it worth it? And where are we heading to? From war to war? From bombarding to bombarding? Because this time, unlike in Gaza, unlike in Lebanon, the price of the civilian population might be much heavier than ever. So Israel can take it for a few days. It cannot take it for a long period of time. So, also interesting to point out that the people killed on Sunday were Palestinians that had no bomb shelters. So, like, if people are like, You're being anti-Semitic because 4 Jews died. No, it was the Palestinian second-class citizens of Israel. If you're just joining us, let's get you up to speed. Iran has launched a fresh wave of retaliatory attacks on Israel, hitting central Tel Aviv and northern Haifa and killing at least 4 people. So Al Jazeera is great, so they call it retaliatory attacks. I'm super curious to see if other news organizations are going to categorize it in the same way. Hitting central Tel Aviv and northern Haifa and killing at least 4 people. Medics say at least 74 more were transferred to a hospital in central Israel and that most of the victims had minor injuries. The attacks came after Israeli forces bombed the Iranian capital, Tehran. The Israeli military says it bombed the headquarters of the IRGC's Quds force in the city, as well as surface-to-surface missiles sites in Iran. Trump, speaking to reporters before heading to the G7 summit in Canada, says he hopes for a deal between Israel and Iran, but sometimes they have to fight out. Oh my god, dude. Donald Trump's such a fucking scumbag. Reuters and AP news agencies are reporting that Trump vetoed an Israeli plan to kill Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So let's just read it. Oh yeah, I'm curious about this about the death toll in Israel. So, the body of an 80-year-old man has been found in Bnei Brak near Tel Aviv following the latest Iranian strike on Israel. The discovery raises the number of people killed in the latest round of Iranian attacks to Israel on 4. These 3 people also remain out of contact and their lives are in danger after areas in Israel's northern city of Haifa were hit by Iranian strikes. Well, who are the other 3? They were in the Palestinian city. So where do we see that? 4 people were killed in the Palestinian town of Tamra. I don't know. I guess it was an 80-year-old man and 3 others. But what's interesting to me about this is obviously Donald Trump is aware that this was going to happen. The United States pulled Americans out of embassies in the region that could possibly be attacked by Iran before this happened. This happened while the US was trying to fool the Iranians into thinking they could still get a deal. They had a meeting scheduled for this weekend and they bombed Iran. When was it? Like Friday they launched strikes on Iran, which is basically like, oh yeah, come on, we're gonna talk to you on Saturday, and then you shoot them on Friday. So very, very scummy move. However, it does seem like Donald Trump thinks that he can still get a deal done. Like, he's vetoing strikes to take out the Ayatollah because he thinks that he can still get a deal done with Iran. He just wants to knock Iran down a peg or two because he thinks it gives him an advantage in the negotiations, which is insane. Like, he's like, we still want a deal, but sometimes Israel and Iran have to just fight it out. Like, just a psychopathic, megamaniacal man-child who feels like countries are just playthings that he can make fight out with each other. It's the way he likes his cabinet to function too, where he has everyone being cutthroat and competitive, trying to outdo each other to get his attention and to be in Donald Trump's good graces. Like, he's very devious and like House of Cardsy. Iran is often described as the world's oldest major civilization with historical and urban settlements at least 4000 BC, making the region's civilization over 6,000 years old. Israel is 77. Israel is younger than Donald Trump. Like, that's what we have here. Okay, let's take a look at some of these photos. Aftermath of Iranian missile strike on central Israel. So they struck Tel Aviv. They also struck the port town of Haifa. God damn, bro. That's a lot of devastation. That's a lot of impact on people's daily lives. And like, once again, the death toll is horrendous that even 4 people died. That's horrible. But I mean, hopefully the population of Israel is going to understand that, you know, your government's actions have consequences to you yourself. And once again, this is a fraction of the death and the devastation that Israel has been inflicting on every single one of its neighbors. Okay, what do we have here? Oh yeah, here's what I wanted to see. So remember we said that Al Jazeera did retaliatory strikes, right? Israel and Iran traded new attacks early on Monday as the most intense fighting between the two countries. Okay, so this is really updated. For a second night, Iran has struck an apartment building in Israel. At least 3 people are dead. In Petah Tikva, so I guess this is a different. I guess they're not even talking about the Palestinians that were killed in Israel. According to a spokesperson for the city's municipality, at least 67 others were injured at 4 sites across central Israel. Okay, so just a bit of the responders. Israeli police say they have received reports from 2 communities in the Tel Aviv area below that appear to have been hit early on Monday. The municipality of the central Israeli city of Petah Tikva said that a building there had been hit in the latest Iranian strike. The leaders of the European Union on Sunday reiterated their calls for de-escalation between Iran and Israel and urged negotiations to end the conflict. In Canada, for the Group of 7 meetings that began on Monday, Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, said she told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel on Sunday that Iran should never get a nuclear weapon, but added a diplomatic solution remains the best way in the long run to address concerns about Iran's nuclear program. I mean, dude, at this point, Iran should get a nuclear weapon if they're just going to be constantly bombarded simply because of the threat of having a nuclear weapon. Like, Israel's just admitting that they're trying to take out Iran before they could possibly get a nuclear weapon. Israel strikes Iran's nuclear site. Okay, so this is what Israel actually did. So when did this take place? This was June 13th, so this was Friday. So they deployed warplanes and drones previously smuggled into the country. So they had smuggled drones into the country of Iran, and then they deployed warplanes, and they assaulted key facilities and killed top generals and scientists. So just admitting they're killing civilians, right? Oh yeah, we're targeting the scientists of their nuclear program. So obviously a war crime. Israel asserted the barrage was necessary before its adversary got any closer to building an atomic weapon, although experts in U.S. government have assessed that Iran was actively working on such a weapon before the strikes. But experts and the U.S. government have assessed that Iran retaliated by firing waves of ballistic missiles at Israel, where explosions flared in the skies over Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and shook the buildings below. The Israeli military urged civilians, already rattled by the earlier waves of missiles, to head to shelter as missiles damaged homes and killed 2 people. Iranian missiles strike it. So you're not going to talk about what Israel targeted with the actual attacks? Okay, here we go. So, Iranian missile strike Israel. Israeli strikes around Iran's capital. Meanwhile, the sound of explosions in Iranian air defense systems firing at targets echoed across central Tehran shortly after midnight on Saturday. An Associated Press reporter could hear air raid sirens. Well, what was the initial attack, though? They attacked the airport. Israeli Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said in a recorded message, "We will not allow them to escape safely from this great crime they committed." Iran's UN ambassador said 78 people were killed and more than 320 wounded in Israeli attacks. Okay, 34 people were wounded. Countries in the region condemned Israel's attack. I mean, I would love to just get an article of what Israel targeted in Iran. Israel calls attack preemptive strikes on Iran's nuclear program. So they said that they headed off an imminent threat that Iran would build nuclear bombs, though it remains unclear how close the country is to achieving that, or whether Iran had actually been planning a strike. Iran maintains its nuclear program is for civilian purposes only. Yeah, I mean, there's no evidence that they were close to getting nuclear bombs. There's like a compilation of Israel for the last 30 years saying that Iran has been close to getting nuclear weapons. Israel is widely believed to be the only nuclear armed state in the Middle East, but has never acknowledged having such weapons. They hit a radar system in April 2024 and surface-to-air missile sites in October. Iran says Israel targeted residential areas. Okay, so who did they target? Come on, let's just talk about who they actually targeted. Okay, this article kind of sucked. Here's the airport in Iran that's on fire. So Israel bombing an airport. Okay, so we looked at this already. Trump vetoed Israeli proposal to assassinate Iran's supreme leader. Oh yeah, Israel's is now targeting the oil depots, missile sites, and nuclear infrastructure. At least 150 people have died and hundreds have been injured. Yeah, so, but I think this is interesting. So let's play a bit of this video.
Out of the Middle East, a U.S. official tells NBC News President Trump rejected a proposal from Israel in the last few days to assassinate Iran's supreme leader. It is yet another huge twist in that developing conflict. Let's go right to NBC's Vaughn Hilliard, who's at the White House for us. Vaughn, so we heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in just this past hour. What did he say?
When directly asked about this report, he did not directly refute its contents, but when it came to conversations between the U.S. and Israel, he suggested that there are, quote, false reports. Now, a U.S. official tells me that this is accurate, that in fact Israel had come to President Trump with the proposed plan to kill Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. This would be a remarkable effort if it had been, in fact, executed. Of course, this is at the heart of the conversation as to the extent that the U.S. is engaged with Israel's own military actions against Iran. Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, in just the last hour, acknowledging that he is, quote, fully coordinated with President Trump and that the White House was aware of its actions before the initial airstrikes took place earlier this week. At the same time, the White House has not engaged in any further military actions in terms of airstrikes on Iran specifically.
Literally like the fucking wimpy guy in the bar that picks fights with buff guys, and then he has like a big friend and he's like, oh, you want to fight me? Well, here's my friend back here. And the guy's like, oh my god, why are you always getting into fights that I have to bail you out of? I mean, it's so funny. Obviously, if Israel could assassinate the Ayatollah of Iran, they would do that. The issue is they can't do it without the US aiding them in doing it or doing it for them, which is probably why Donald Trump rejected the offer. I mean, I think it's also indicative that Donald Trump doesn't necessarily directly want to go to war with Israel because that's going to cost a lot of money. He did campaign on being the anti-war candidate, and he prides himself on being like a deal maker. He's fine, or not with Israel, with Iran. He's fine with Israel like doing a lot of his dirty work for him, but I think he does see this as a diplomatic move, as fucked up as it is, where it's like, all right, well, we'll bomb Iran just a little bit and then we'll do deals with them. Anyway, we can call that here. Here's more stuff. I wanted to just see a bit of the footage of Iran bombing Israel. So you can see the air defense systems. Yeah, and I was going to look at this too. So what are Israel's air defense systems? So they have the Iron Dome that everyone knows about. One weakness of the Iron Dome system is that it cannot protect more than 100 and 150 square kilometers, limiting its effectiveness for larger countries. Israel's air defenses are multi-layered, but the Iron Dome forms only part of Israel's air defenses. Israel uses the Arrow to intercept long-range missiles, including those Iran said it launched against the country on Saturday. The Arrow, which operates outside of the atmosphere, has been used in recent times to intercept long-range missiles launched by Houthi militants in Yemen. It was once again developed with U.S. support. The Israel's air defenses, also known as David Sling, designed to intercept medium-range missiles like those passed by Hezbollah in Lebanon. and Patriot missiles, the oldest component of the country's defenses. Patriots were first used in the Gulf War in 1991 to intercept Scud missiles fired by Iraq's leader at the time, Saddam Hussein. So yeah, they have multiple different air defense systems. Israel says the Iron Dome has a success rate of over 90%, destroying projectiles from a distance of 4 to 70 kilometers away. Response times are in a matter of seconds. But then they also did. Israel suggested the idea of developing a short-range anti-missile system, though U.S. defense officials said at the time it'd be doomed to fail. So, yeah, like the Iron Dome, not that long, but then they also have the Arrow and David's Sling for long-range missiles and medium-range missiles. So, interesting. So I guess Iron Dome is more for short-range missiles. We have that. Aftermath of Iranian missile strike on Tel Aviv just minutes ago.
Yo, yo, yo. סוף העולם, יו. יו, סוף העולם. אתם לא רואים?
חבר'ה, לא רלוונטי, אתם מפריעים לנו, לא סליחה.
יו.
Yeah, once again, these weapons are actually getting through. There was Tel Aviv in the daytime. Oh yeah, this is a crazy video.
וואו, הנה זה מגיע, הנה המופע. וואו, הנה המופע. וואלה, חברו את התאורות של 11. תעשה את הטלפון שלך על השטות.
Bro, it's so crazy to me that people are just chilling on a glass balcony watching this like it's some kind of fireworks display on the 4th of July. Like, I know it's like 5 miles away, but would you not want to get in a shelter anyway? Is this what we just saw? I think this is different footage. Or no, maybe it's the same. I mean, we know for a fact that Israelis will go to the border and watch Gaza getting bombed like it's some kind of nightly entertainment. Just absolutely disgusting. But what I wanted to, let's see, what is this? Yeah, this is what I wanted to watch too.
The death toll continues to rise overnight after a series of Iranian missile and drone strikes hit Israel. A residential building in the Palestinian-Israeli town of Tamra suffered a direct hit, according to Israel's National Emergency Service, killing at least...
And just remember, there are no bomb shelters in the Palestinian towns. And there's not a lot of air defenses in the Palestinian towns either. So when buildings get directly hit in Palestinian towns, the death toll is going to be way higher than in Tel Aviv or Haifa.
Killing at least 3 women and a 13-year-old girl. A later wave of strikes hit buildings in a residential area of central Israel. A 10-year-old boy was among the several killed. Rescue workers are searching the scene for those unaccounted for.
What are you talking about, CNR Max? What's the Zach soundbite? What Zach soundbite are you referring to? But I think this is interesting, or I think this is relevant. So Israel underestimated Iran's ability to regroup, analyst says. Iran's continued missile strikes on Israel are showing Tehran forces can regroup even after Israel killed multiple military commanders in its initial attack, an analyst told CNN. They underestimated the Iranian ability to regroup after the Israelis very successfully targeted the top leadership of the Iranian military and managed to kill several of them, said Trita Parsi, vice president of the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. Parsi said Israel believed they had disrupted Iranian command and control, but that idea was quickly restructured. What we are seeing now is that Iranian missiles are successful in penetrating all layers of Israel's air defense systems, Parsi said. Parsi was speaking to CNN as new waves of Iranian missiles rained down in early hours of Monday morning and struck multiple locations. Casualties are mounting on both sides. I mean, not really. It's like 220 killed in Iran to 4 to 7 killed in Israel. As Iran and Israel widen attacks, Tehran residents are attempting to flee the capital in search of safety, while explosions and fire were seen in Israel overnight with the residential buildings hit. Iran's highest-ranking military officer, the head of its elite Revolutionary Guards Corps, and its Air Force, and a former national security chief were killed in Israel's unprecedented Operation Rising Lion. So, yeah, they decapitated some of the heads of different Iranian military units, and I think that they thought that was going to be a crippling blow, and it just doesn't seem like it did that much. I think that killing nuclear scientists, targeting nuclear sites, and targeting these oil sites are going to be more impactful, but obviously Iran still has the capabilities to fire back. Oil prices surge again as the Israel-Iran conflict shows no sign of de-escalating. The missiles were seen hitting the area around an oil refinery in Haifa, videos from the strikes show. Explosions were seen in the coastal Israeli city of Haifa, damaging buildings and setting infrastructure on fire. Central Israel's power grid damaged by Iranian strikes. Long lines at gas stations as terrified Tehran residents try to flee. Yeah, obviously they want to leave. So anyway, not good overall. Yeah, hopefully peace happens and Israel stops just being a rabid dog trying to do as much damage to Iran as it can. And there's no reason for this at all. There's no reason for this conflict at all, other than Israel feeling like Iran has some kind of parity in terms of power in the region, and they can't stand another country being even closely as impactful and as powerful as Israel is. They simply can't stand that, and that's why they insist. This is essentially just mowing the lawn. This is what Israel did to Gaza, and they're doing the same thing to Iran. They're trying to destabilize it by taking out their military leadership, targeting their nuclear scientists, targeting their nuclear sites, targeting their oil refinery sites, targeting some of their weapon sites. They're trying to just destabilize Iran, knock it down a peg or two, and maintain their total hegemony in that region. So, I mean, we know that this is what Israel does. They bomb people when they think that those people can pose even the slightest bit of threat. And when I say people, I mean countries, rather than just using diplomacy and trying to create peace with them. Oh, Hila's bravest soldiers in the chat. What do we got here? Because Hamas doesn't build them for its citizens, you gonna mention that? Am I gonna talk about why there's no bombs? I'm talking about, first of all, there's no bomb shelters. There's no bomb shelters in Palestinian cities within Israel. That's what I talked about. And there's no air defense systems for those people either. So the idea that you're going to blame Hamas for that is pretty funny. Like, no, it's a open air prison. Like, sure, bomb shelters would be nice for the Palestinians to live in, but is that going to affect them when there's no food, water, medicine, or electricity being able to being brought into Gaza? Is like, sure, the bomb shelters are going to feed the people. Like, are you happy? I don't know what the fuck you want from me here. Oh, Hila blocked me on Instagram, by the way. Oh, Ray, you got blocked by Hila on Instagram? Okay, so anyway, maybe we just have Hila Klein in the chat. No, I don't think so. But speaking of Hila Klein, okay, so I don't know if I should get into the H3 podcast first or just go over this tweet, but this Instagram post is so fucking funny. So first of all, I don't understand this image. Like the person, I don't know if Hila Klein blurred this person's face or if she found an image from somewhere. I have a feeling she blurred the person's face, or whoever posted it blurred it because the IDF don't want to be doxxed because they know they're doing war crimes, and now they're trying to cover their faces and try not to have any of the consequences of their actions come back to like burn them in the end. Hey SK, thank you for becoming a channel member. Why can't Hamas build bomb shelters but they build tunnels? Yeah, they probably can build bomb shelters. Once again, like, that's not actually going to do anything when Palestinians are getting starved to death. Why is Israel shooting rockets close to residential areas? Well, they're trying to do terrorism. That's what they're doing. So anyway, at Yosef Haddad, first of all, kind of a cool name, Yosef Haddad. Let's look this up. Who is this person? Yosef Haddad. Oh, he's an Israeli journalist. Oh, so he took the picture, right? He took the picture of the Israeli pilot. That's what I'm guessing. "23 minutes ago, he posted this.
We achieved. Are you ready?
Of course it's in English. Why would it not be in English?
While the Iranian regime is targeting Israeli civilians, take a look at what we achieved. Are you ready?
Hold on, can I translate this? What is it? Oh. Whoa, what the hell? What? Weird. Translate. I guess he put a translation in there. No, it's different. The IDF is making history and striking the Iranian regime with force. Raise your heads. We are on the way to cutting off the head of the snake. Okay, so basically saying we're going to overthrow Iran. And then the Israeli Air Force continues to persist. I don't know why he wrote this in English. I thought it would be a translation, but whatever. The Israeli Air Force continues to persist, attacking throughout Iran. You've brought your end upon yourselves. It is near, and it will be a bitter defeat. Well, just both genocidal statements here. Israel doesn't allow building materials into the occupied territory or Gaza. 2 Lebanese crew members, and they use a pager beeper sound as a joke targeting other creators. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't understand the context because I wasn't actually watching the episode. I wasn't watching the episode when that soundbite was used, so I don't really understand the context of when it was used. If you want to tell me which H3 show it was and give me a timestamp, then I'll definitely watch it. Hey, Talon, glad to have you here. Damn, your translate search is better than mine. Okay. So anyway, so who the fuck is this freak? He's an Israeli journalist?
The Israeli Air Force continues to persist, attacking throughout Iran. Our planes fly in Iranian airspace with complete freedom, while the Iranian planes don't even dare to take off.
Bro, this guy's crazy. He's literally laughing. He's literally laughing like, oh, the Iranian planes don't even... Their end is closer than ever. Okay, what does this mean? Am Yisrael Kai? Like, does this just mean like Israel will live forever or something? Like, long live Israel? Slogan of solidarity among Jews. It is used to express strength and unity, typically in the face of adversity. Alright, we're going to Reddit. What does Am Israel Kai mean? Direct translation, the people of Israel are alive. It's basically a call to people who hate Jewish people to be like... It's basically a call to people who hate Jewish people to be like, fuck you. Even though you hate us and even though people try to eliminate us, we're here and we're strong. After everything, we still stand. The people of Israel are alive. Okay, so basically being like, we're all from Israel and we're still here. What do we got from this person? Oh, here's a long one. Okay, let's see what this is. This weirdly translates left to right. Or I don't know if Hebrew's written right to left. Unfortunately, this is not enough because Israel needs to destroy the nuclear infrastructure and the military infrastructure. Well, yeah, they are doing that. Okay, let's just listen to what this freak has to say. So he's giggling to himself that Israeli planes are able to bomb Iran and Iran hasn't been sending Iranian planes to bomb Israel. They've been launching missiles at Israel.
Just today, the IDF attacked the Iranian Air Force headquarters, the Tehran police headquarters, the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, the Intelligence Ministry, the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Navy headquarters, the Revolutionary Guard headquarters, and the Islamic Consultative Assembly building. Iran is in flames, and the Iranian regime is humiliated. Hundreds of targets have been bombed, and the...
Guys, this is the person Hila Klein tagged in her Instagram post. Once again, let's go back here. At Yosef Haddad, that's the guy we're watching. Female pilot who participated in the attack in Iran. Israeli women are heroes. So basically she's just saying like, yes, I love it. I love Israel doing war crimes in Iran, doing a completely offensive attack on another nation, just a completely offensive attack on another nation, killing over 200 people, including 70 women and children. Yeah, we're totally targeting these people. Killing civilians, blatantly celebrating the fact that they're killing politicians, killing scientists, targeting like nuclear sites. Like, what the fuck? And then Hila's like, yes, Slay King, let me also tag you and then talk about how the pilots that did this are so fucking awesome. And you know, I saw something that was so good here. Where was it? Oh yeah, this one. This was such a good meme. They say the next ones will be sent by a woman. Really makes you feel like you're part of history. Like, this is just a perfect description of what Hila Klein is posting. Yes, we have in Israel, we have women pilots, and they wear form-fitting clothing. Dude, her brain is rotten. Her brain has been completely rotted out by Israeli propaganda, where she's now applauding the complete... I mean, obviously she didn't give a fuck about the genocide and she tacitly endorsed it. But she's like, this is just completely uncalled for.
Damage to the Iranian regime is enormous. Senior officials have been eliminated. The nuclear program has been severely damaged.
Syrian officials have been eliminated?
And their economy is on the verge of collapse. You've brought your end upon yourselves.
By doing what? Just existing? Once again, Iran, like, okay, you can say that they've been funding Houthis and they funded Hamas, but by doing what, dude? Holy shit. Just living?
It is near, and it will be a bitter defeat. Why?
Okay, so just straight up advocating for genocide here. Oh, let's see what he posts here. See translation. How is it possible that the Al Jazeera, a terror and propaganda channel, broadcasts in real time from Israel in the northern region during the Iranian barrages, and helps them watch live where their missile? Holy shit, dude! He's accusing Al Jazeera of giving intelligence to Iran because they have a live feed of the missile strikes. How stupid and fucking evil is this guy? He's actually saying that because Al Jazeera is doing a live stream of Tel Aviv, that they're somehow doing surveillance for Iran. They help Iran. It helps them watch live where their missiles are falling to spot themselves. Honestly, this is baby brain shit. He thinks that Iran doesn't have any kind of intelligence or surveillance to see where their missiles are striking, and they rely on Tel Aviv. They rely on Al Jazeera. They have, like, the Iranian generals that are firing off the missiles are just like, all right, just like fire them blind, and then they pull up their iPhone on the Al Jazeera live feed. Okay, all right, that one hit. That one got taken down by the Iron Dome. That's an arrow interception. We need to arrest the journalists who broadcasted and filmed this and stop them immediately because they are terrorists for everything and they served the enemy during the war. Holy shit, dude. Actually calling just journalists terrorists and saying that they need to and they need to get arrested. Need to get ready for some guys. What is this? Maybe it's time for the citizens to establish law enforcement. It's time we take So these guys are he's basically ginning up a bunch of vigilantes to attack the Al Jazeera journalists simply for live streaming the missile strikes in Israel. Like, I really think that this is coming from a place where he, like, we saw how much he reveled in the destruction that Iran was dealt by Israeli airstrikes. I think in this post we're seeing how embarrassed he is that Iran was actually able to land missiles into Tel Aviv and inside of Israel. And I think instead of being like, oh yeah, we shouldn't be showing this because it makes Israel look bad, he's just saying, if you live stream this and you show Iran that their missiles are effective, you are a terrorist that needs to be arrested. And now all of the people in his replies are saying, yeah, we should take matters into our own hand. Yeah, let's get some guys ready. It's time for the citizens to establish law enforcement. It's time we take responsibility. What else we got here? Spies are unequivocal in endangering human lives. Oh yeah, they're Al Jazeera spies. Looks like Louis Promenade in Haifa. Don't know what that is. Unimaginable. Were they not eliminated? Dear Joseph, crowds of foreign photographers gather to them at the Louis Promenade. Oh, they're talking about the fucking location where the journalists are. Dude, they're doxing the journalists in real time. Holy crap. They're actually like, oh yeah, let's everyone go to the Louis Promenade in Haifa. Oh my god, this is actually scary. Louis Promenade in Haifa. The promenade is open 224 Israel tours. It's a neighborhood. It's conveniently located numerous. What is this? Minute walk. I mean, it does look like the place. I guess it's just like an area to walk and stuff. The promenade, so they're just like on a balcony. The fact that Hila is endorsing this zealot tells you exactly what you need to know. Oh yeah, I mean, she lives off of this shit. Hila's been hiding her power level. This is channel 12, so they're like, it's not Al Jazeera, it's channel 12. Everybody out there spying. Talk to Vittori when he gets out of the bunker and comes back to cursing pilots. This channel is not closing down in Israel. What the hell is going on here? They're like, why is our government not stopping deportation to Gaza and arrest our Iran's spies? Need to get ready some guys. I think this is what we already saw. Beautiful, amazing. A channel that supports terrorism that should have been shut down long ago. Don't understand how they let them to still be here. All they're doing, guys, remember, all they're doing is showcasing the strikes that Iran is doing on Israel, and these people are accusing them of being terrorist supporters and advocating for their channel to get shut down. And that's the least violent thing they're advocating for. They're literally doxing these people, telling other people their locations, and is like, let's get a crowd of guys together and do civilian arrests on them. I hope that's all that they're doing, civilian arrests. Catch them to jail. Only Ben Gavir could take some care of something like this. Okay, a war criminal. A bomb emoji and Al Jazeera. They need to be hung. Holy fuck. Wow, they need to be hit in the head. Sons of donkeys and daughters of bitches, I'm assuming? Holy shit. Hey, go spare member for 3 months. Whoever betrays us should die. Okay, dude. So the person Hila Klein tagged in her Instagram story is advocating for, is basically whipping up a fervor of people, basically a lynch mob on Al Jazeera reporters that are simply live streaming the city of Tel Aviv as Iran is bombing it, as Iran is sending missiles at it, which I think my first inclination is, I literally said it, that's insanely brave and heroic to do. You're literally like risking your life in the pursuit of journalism, and these fucking bloodthirsty dogs are like, let's get a posse together and hang them. What the fuck, dude? Absolutely insane. This is the nicest group of Israelis you'll meet. Where's Hila Klein's Instagram? Where's her Instagram? I want to see what she has to say about this. Okay, come on. Okay, so okay, well, we gotta run this back. So when Israel bombs Iran, this is his reaction.
While the Iranian regime is targeting Israeli civilians, take a look at what we achieved. Are you ready? The Israeli Air Force...
So first of all, he's like, why does Iran target Israeli civilians? Well, that's because we bombed them first, as answers his own question.
...continues to persist, attacking throughout Iran. Our planes fly in Iranian airspace with complete freedom, while the Iranian planes don't even dare to take off.
Literally giggling about how Israel is violating Iran's airspace with their bomber planes. So when it's Israel bombing Iran, he's all smiles and giggles and laughing about how much damage they did to Iran. Remember, 70 women and children killed in Israel's bombings. Then when no one in Israel is killed except for one 80-year-old man and 4 Palestinians in a city that doesn't have bomb shelters, that doesn't have any kind of air defenses, you get this. Another difficult night of missile barrages from Iran, again towards population concentrations, and severe results. 3 killed, dozens injured, and heavy destruction. So it's severe results when 3 people in Israel are killed. Once again, it's a Palestinian city that the people were killed that don't have bomb shelters and don't have air defenses. But when it's Israel bombing Iran, he's literally giggling with genocidal glee. But now it's heavy destruction and severe results. But let no one be mistaken, the Israeli interior is strong, and we give our full back to the army and our heroes to continue to crush the Iranian regime and give it up to ensure our existence here in security for many years to come. Like, all right, what do we got here? Give me the full dose. Let me bathe in the genocidal language. With Israel live, This pain is hard to contain for every innocent citizen murdered by this cursed regime. It's time to destroy this regime. I wonder how these people would react if they knew it was Palestinian Israeli citizens getting killed. There goes your oil refinery. It looks like people that actually are criticizing this person made it to this post. Eternal God bless Israel. What do we got here? This past weekend, a journey was supposed to take place in memory. Okay, I don't care about that. Did he post about... Oh, another video. Okay, one more of these.
I have a clear message to Ariel Khamenei, the head of the IRGC. Listen and listen very carefully. I'm here where exactly your ballistic missiles targeted Israeli civilians, killed 6 of us, injured dozens. That's what they did. Target men, women, children, elderly. This is what you do. So I have a very clear message for you.
Bro, the delusion. This man is doing propaganda for a country that is carrying out a genocide. And first of all, 6 people killed. I haven't seen that reported anywhere. And his country is responsible for killing over 224 people, or I think it was 224 people in Iran. And he's criticizing Iran for retaliating? Like, are you kidding me? You're going to play the fucking victim card here? It's like you're advocating for the head of the snake to be cut off. You're advocating for the complete regime change of Iran. You think that's going to be less violent than 6 people being killed? Okay, what's this translation? Remember what happened to your friend Hassan from Lebanon? Your end. in the video where he's basically just like feigning concern for people and is outraged that 6 people died, which once again there's no evidence of. Everything I've read has been 4 people killed in Israel. He's saying that part in English where he's like, oh my god, you dare target civilian locations? And then in the fucking text he says you're gonna fucking get killed, we're going to assassinate you. Oh my, what a fucking snake, dude.
Remember the head of the proxy in Lebanon? You know the head of the proxy, Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah? Do you remember what happened to him? Take a very good look at Hassan Nasrallah. We did that. We promise you. We will do the same thing for you and the rest of IRGC regime. We started. We bombed the hell out of you in the first day. We eliminated a lot of your own terrorists in that regime. And I promise you, we will get to you just like we get to that.
I mean, dude, he can't even hold in his bloodthirst for a 2-minute long video. Insanely just dark and evil.
Right here, Hassan Nasrallah. And last message, Ariel Khamenei, in Persian, just for you. Khamenei Gaidam.
Okay, so let the IDF give it a head. So I guess they're saying decapitate him. Yosef Haddad, the man and the legend, Persian Jew standing with Israel. The hour clock has flipped. What a man. You are the best, Joseph Haddad. You are a king. People of Iran stand with the people of Israel. God bless you. I don't think the people of Iran stand with the people of Israel. I think you're on your own with that one. Long live my Iran. I'll die for my homeland and my compatriots. Okay. What do we got? One more. Okay. Anyway, so this is guy Hila Klein is reposting, saying that tagging in her posts. I wonder what his stories are. Oh, please explain to me the difference. Everyone needs to understand the difference between us and the Iranian regime. Our goal is to destroy their genocidal threats against us, while their goal is to obliterate and destroy us entirely. We target their top terrorist military officials. I mean, you killed 70 women and children with your bombings, while they're targeting innocent civilians, babies, and the elderly. Share so the whole world understands. I mean, let's just take a look at the results of your actions. 3 people have died in Israel, 224 have died in Iran. I wouldn't really be comparing yourself to Iran here. Okay, let's just look up Hila Klein and see what her story is. Hila Klein. Hila Klein. So scary. I don't know what this translation is.
Oh, yo, הלך הבניין. Yo.
Okay, so posting Israel. The most painful looking dildo in existence, she posted. Okay. Anyway, so what's so funny about this? Well, she said, so Hila Klein posted this, which is obviously hilarious. Female pilot who participated in the attack in Iran. Once again, 224 people were killed in Iran, 70 women and children were killed, and Hila is calling this war criminal a hero. Ironically, like, maybe she's a superhero with a secret identity, and that's why she's getting her face blurred, because she doesn't want her face to be associated with her actions. So, but like, she's not just a hero, she's a superhero. This is quite obviously bad on its face. Hila Klein seemingly celebrating the actions, the completely offensive, and just like evil war criminal actions of Israel, trying to preemptively take out Iran, basically mowing the lawn for Iran. That's what they're doing. Then you get this. Okay, so you get this. Female pilot who participated in the attack in Iran. Israeli women are heroes. Just insanely just tone deaf, you know, when there's hundreds of people being killed in Iran, and this while Israel's literally doing a genocide, Hila Klein posts someone who's in the IDF and says that she's a hero. But this woman is a hero, right? She's in the IDF. It's a military group that is doing a genocide, and you know, she's also doing war crimes in Iran now, and you're saying she's a hero. You get this. This is not in the Snark subreddit. This is in the H3H3 Productions Reddit. Hila's Instagram story. And you get this. This is a fan. I've always been a supporter of Hila and Ethan and the podcast, and I know they don't mean harm in the way they intend to say things about Iran. But just as passionate as they feel to be Israeli, I feel as an Iranian. The Iranian government is absolutely dogshit, and the mullahs that run it are diabolical tyrants, and I agree with them that most Iranians hate their own government, but don't forget that a lot of us still have family there, just as you do in Israel. We went 2 nights without hearing from our family members, not knowing if they're okay or not, because the internet has been cut there. So I'm not sure if the best words to call one of the pilots who carried out the attack as a hero, because I would not say the same for the Iranian military. I love how it's the most tepid, like insignificant, unbiting criticism that could possibly be offered to Hila Klein, because we know that like you need to coddle these people's feelings, otherwise they're going to get their panties in a bunch and nuke you from their subreddit and their community. It's like, I don't know if hero is the best word to call the pilot who did a war crime and bombed my family members. That just didn't sit right with me. So then they say, yes, Iran needs to be taken down, but not through civilians. Which is so funny, because you can say the exact same thing about Israel. Israel's doing a genocide. Israel is an apartheid state. They have Jim Crow style segregation with the non-Jewish civilians of Israel. You can say the exact same thing with Israel. Oh yeah, let's bomb Israel because they need to be taken down a peg or two. IDK, yes, Iran needs to be taken down, but not through civilians. I don't know. Maybe I'm a bit naive in all of this, but I wanted to see if anyone felt the same as me. This poor person, they've gotten so brainwashed by the Kleins, where now they're like, like, I don't know if the person who bombed my family should be called a hero. Like, I don't think killing civilians is the right course of action. Maybe I'm just a bit naive here. Like, just am I crazy, or should we not kill civilians? Dude, this is what liberalism does to your brain, where you can't even just look at the raw violence that's being done and be like, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. You have to have all of these fucking sides where it's like, okay, well, the institutions support Israel and the institutions say that Iran is bad and it's a criminal, like, terrorist supporting regime. So of course any kind of actions that takes Iran a peg or two down is good, but like, maybe we shouldn't do it through killing civilians. That's the most criticism that has been offered in this subreddit. Maybe we shouldn't do regime change in Iran through killing civilians. Am I crazy? Like, am I the only one that feels like this? When Ethan said that Israel had done mass murdering in Gaza, but he liked how they went after Iran because Iran is at the root of everything, I'm like, this isn't a tit-for-tat situation, so there's no need to praise Israel even slightly. Like, this is why I wanted to watch the episode too, because I'm sure Ethan said some diabolical shit in the Friday's episode. So there's no need to praise Israel even slightly, just because you're from there and have relatives there and it's a beautiful place. So because so is Iran, and I would never ever praise them or call any of them heroes. IDK, just remember those of us who also have family in the Middle East. Once again, you also get the symptom from liberals where it's like, well, I'm personally affected by this, so I'm against it, right? Like, the only reason this person's speaking up, criticizing this, is because they have family there, and that's probably the only reason why this post wasn't nuked off of the subreddit. This says 3.2k upvotes. What do we got? Update, Hila apologized and moved the post and removed the post. A mod. Yeah, I agree. I think there's space for reasonable criticism here. She's about to get a lot of heat for that post, and unfortunately this time she's not reading the room properly. So it's not that like she actually has genuine convictions for supporting war criminals, but it's that she didn't read the room properly. Exactly. This is a bad post, and we can call them out on it. If not, then we were no better than Hasanabi followers. Like, Hassan isn't constantly criticized by his chat literally 24/7. And Ethan is Ethan is famous for never banning people from his subreddit or banning people from his chat for disagreeing with him, or literally like creating month-long, year-long feuds with people over minor disagreements. Can understand how horrible it must feel to have your homeland bombed and the anxiety that can come with that, but essentially praising an Israeli-led escalation here, especially as a power girl type thing, is pretty bad and shows a lack of care for innocent lives when both states are lobbing bombs at each other after catching civilians in the middle. Though it was really oversimplifying the situation yesterday from Ethan that the Ayatollah is evil and that nearly 100 million people that live there would support a foreign-led intervention to remove the current government. Oh my god. Holy shit, H3 brain rot on full display. There is a reason why even the most neocon warmongers in the US have been held back from engaging Iran over the past 50 years. They're not Iraq in terms of military strength, and while their vessels in Hamas and Hezbollah aren't responding to this strongly, Iran themselves very much have the capacity to make things very messy and yield horrific results in the region, take a lot of innocent lives, let alone dragging US troops into the situation if it does become a hot war. This is a weird moment to do the girl power thing. Now we ain't doing that. Yes, this just gave Hassan and co ammo for another 6 months. Genuinely surprised and disappointed this happened. Very glad Hila immediately took accountability. Refreshing. Yeah, it just seems kind of weird and not great optics. I love how it's like, yeah, the optics aren't good. No, the substance is not good. Also, it's just so stupid. She's been getting shit about being the raider of Ramallah. Shout out chat, the raider of Ramallah, an IDF this and IDF that for 2 years now, and she thinks it's a good idea to glaze an IDF pilot publicly? Come on now. Gotta be honest, I'm nowhere near surprised. Would be shocked to hear this from Ethan, but from Hila, not in the slightest. I watch the pod a lot and I love them, but after all this shit, I still wouldn't have imagined Hila consciously posting something so tone deaf. Okay. So yeah, they're actually like criticizing Hila, and the criticisms go all the way. They go from saying it's bad optics all the way to saying this is not good because she's praising a member of a genocidal military, and basically saying like, yeah, when Israel kills civilians, it's justified, which is what Hila's saying. She's saying when Israel kills civilians in Iran, it's justified. That's what she's doing. And then you can extrapolate that to also her condoning the killing of civilians in Gaza, because, you know, like, they haven't talked about the people in Gaza that have been getting killed by Israel. So why would they not support that? Like, by not talking about it and only talking about the people criticizing Israel and only talking about how great Israel is, they are condoning it, right? They're not talking about the downsides of Israel, and in fact, they're only talking about the upsides of Israel. I wonder where they get their news. Ethan said yesterday that no Iranian civilians had died, which AB quickly corrected, but like what AB said was well known. I saw it all over. Ethan actually said that no Iranians had died, no Iranian civilians. I saw it all over the internet. A picture of a toppled and destroyed Iranian apartment building was at the top of Reddit yesterday as he said it. It often seems like they only watch local Israeli media and aren't getting the full picture. Dude, they're actually getting disillusioned with their stupid-ass podcast hosts. You'd think with all the harassment plus actual criticism they get, they'd be more careful after putting out misinformation that snarkers/streamers can jump on to prove their points, like Read the Room, literally. Like, okay, they're criticizing their podcasts. They're criticizing Ethan and Hila, right, for putting out misinformation. But then they're still saying that the snarkers and streamers that are correcting them are wrong, right? They're like, oh, Ethan and Hila put out misinformation and streamers are correct. They're jumping on that to prove the streamer's point. Well, maybe if the evidence proves the point correct, then they should be criticized, and maybe you should like listen to the streamers and the snarkers if you're like, yeah, that's bad, that's misinformation, and also the people that are trying to correct that misinformation are bad. Maybe the people that are trying to correct that misinformation have a point you should listen to. Like, it's so stupid. The cognitive dissonance is alarming. Well, this will be a nice payday for all the snark streamers. Pretty dumb thing to post. Oh, gee, no, Hila, why? This is so not it. Like, I do love how people are actually getting the tape peeled away from their eyes when it comes to Hila just like straight up supporting the IDF. Okay, I do think Hila might be falling for the Israeli government propaganda. Like, dude, she's literally been doing propaganda for years. Remember with the fucking Rudy Giuliani thing where she's like, I mean, yeah, like 2-year-old Palestinians are being taught to kill Israelis, right? Like, she literally said, I mean, she said Yoav Gallant was a good guy, and these people are like, okay, like maybe now I think Hila's falling for Israeli government propaganda. So sad. What the fuck? Dude, I'm losing my mind. Sad. So sad, because I do believe Ethan is right, and the people are hiding anti-Semitism by equaling Jews to the IDF. Dude, it's Ethan that insists Jews all support Israel. That Ethan Klein insists on that. Sam Cedar and Hassan talk to Ethan and they're begging him to decouple those two ideas, to decouple Zionism from being Jewish, and Ethan refuses. Oh my god, dude, these fucking people they break my brain. They have an opposite view of reality. Okay, here we go. But Hila just straight up called the IDF soldier a hero. That's gross. If they don't want Jews equating to IDF, then this post shouldn't exist. Holy shit, dude, these people are like, they're like kind of waking up to the shit, but they still just assume that Ethan and Hila are right. They just, how many times do Ethan and Hila need to say disappointing things for you to understand that they're wrong. They're like, yeah, the streamers are correcting misinformation. Oh, this is going to be a big payday for streamers that correct misinformation. You know, this is going to really prove a lot of streamers correct. I'm so mad that Hila posted this. Maybe the streamers are just correct. Holy fuck, dude. Oh no, okay. But don't worry, guys. It's all a big misunderstanding. It's all a big misunderstanding. Hila apologized. She apologized. What do we have here? Oh, Hila apologized and removed the post. Okay, good. Hila's story. Let's read it. I would like to apologize for my recent story reshare about the female Israeli pilot being a hero. It came off as glorifying violence, which wasn't at all my intention, but I understand that's how it came off. I wanted to highlight the difference between women's lack of rights in Iran under the Ayatollah and oh, dude, why would she say this? Just delete the post and say I'm sorry. And women in Israel being given agency to even fight in combat. That being said, it's not the best timing or situation to make such a point. War is terrible and should never be glorified, and I'm very sorry for the post. Okay. You're literally glorifying war in your apology for glorifying war. You just said women are given agency to even fight in combat, but then you said war is terrible and should never be glorified. Then why are you highlighting that? No, it's not an explanation. Obviously, she was making a feminist statement. Oh, look at Israel, it's so feminist. Women can bomb civilians, right? It came off as glorifying violence, which wasn't at all my intention. Yeah, well, what was your intention? You didn't show a woman doctor in Israel. You didn't show an Israeli politician that was a woman. You showed an Israeli soldier and called her a politician. So, yeah, it seems like you were kind of glorifying the violence that Israeli women have the agency to do, right? Even in your apology, you're like, I'm so proud that Israeli women have the agency to even fight in combat. Oh, why would you be proud about that? Why would you want to highlight that Israeli women can fight in combat if you think war is bad and shouldn't be glorified? You obviously glorify the IDF. You say that Yoav Gallant was a good guy because he wanted to expand the draft and include religious fundamentalist Jews in Israel in the draft who had a religious exemption because they didn't want to do violence. That's a reason why you said Yoav Gallant was a good guy. You do glorify violence. You are supportive of the IDF doing genocide and doing offensive war crimes against Iran. You are a fucking piece of shit. And you aren't actually doing any apology, dude. Like, sure, you're trying to save your fucking ass by saying you weren't glorifying violence, but you are. I mean, also, what the fuck is this shit? Iran literally got offensively bombed by Israel, and now you're like, well, Israel's way more feminist than Iran. Maybe you should post some of the devastation that happened in Iran and Israel and be like, this isn't good. Israel should stop. Israel should stop bombing and we should have peace. But instead you post a soldier and say, oh, look at how egalitarian Israel is. Sure, they're racist as fuck. They're genocidal as fuck. And they bomb every single fucking regional country. Every country that's in the region with them. But like a woman can be the one that opens the bomb doors and kills civilians. Yeah. Look at this. The Israeli women have way more agency than Iranian women because Iranian women get killed by Israeli bombs. Once again, 224 people killed in Iran over the weekend. 70 women and children killed in Iran. And you got Hila Klein here being like, guys, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to glorify war. I was just saying that women in Israel have the agency to even being able to fight in combat. Seems like you're glorifying war then. This isn't an apology. But let's see what we got here. So, I'm glad she posted this and that she took into account the criticism. Same, because as insensitive as it was, and as much as I disagree with what she said, I also remember that Hila is an Israeli woman who, as complicated as their feelings are, they aren't coming from a bad place. No, that is quite literally coming from a bad place. You're like, she's an Israeli woman. She's an Israeli woman that consumes Israeli media. Her feelings are complicated, but they're not coming from a bad... No, they're coming from a bad place. That place is Israeli propaganda. It's also silly that the same people praying for her home country to be nuked are also going to pretend like they care about the sanctity of life and feign outrage at her post. Who's praying for Israel to get nuked? I'm very happy to see this and was very happy to see all of the very valid criticism in the original thread. I'm happy to be a part of the community that doesn't hero worship their favorite streamer creator and look the other way when they do wrong. Okay, dude, like, come on. Have some self-awareness. Taking accountability like this is the real difference between a well-intentioned person and a propagandist, like some folks on the other side. Dude, Hila Klein is literally disseminating Israeli propaganda on their podcast. They can admit when they were wrong. They don't double down when they are obviously wrong like I... Dude, like, once again, this isn't admitting that you were wrong. You're saying that people misread your original post. That's not admitting you're wrong. You're not like, oh yeah, like, I shouldn't have glorified the IDF. She literally is glorifying the IDF. Even in this apology, she's glorifying the IDF. She's like, Israel's great because women can be in the military. She's literally saying that. She said, I wanted to highlight the difference between women's lack of rights in Iran and women in Israel. Israel is great because women, and then she says, and women in Israel being given agency to even fight in combat. Even in her apology, she's glorifying the IDF, saying Israel is so much better than Iran that women can join the IDF. That's a glorification of the IDF. Wouldn't that be a worse thing that Israel does? Because at least in Iran, women aren't expected to do war crimes. Wouldn't that be like the worst possible example of a right that women have in Israel? To like of a privilege that women have in Israel that they don't have in Iran? I wouldn't want to join the fucking IDF. I wouldn't even want to fight in the Iranian military. And you're like, oh yeah, women in Iran can do war crimes. Isn't that so good? Holy shit, dude. These people are actually fucking idiots. Like, she just says, I want to apologize for you misunderstanding what I said. What I actually wanted to say is that Iranian women are treated as second-class citizens, so we're justified in bombing them. I'm not glorifying the IDF, even though I am. Like what the fuck, dude? She's literally just like, I'm not trying to... war should never be glorified. That's all that she added in here. You literally are glorifying violence in this apology. Holy shit. People are so fucking stupid. Oh, she made some mouth noises. She made some mouth noises that makes me think that she actually doesn't support the war. Even though if you look at the substance of her apology, she still is in favor of women being in the IDF and still sees that as a benefit for being an Israeli citizen. She never even apologized for Yoav Gallant. For the Yoav Gallant comment. Hey Noah, how's this going? North Korea could do the funniest trade deal ever. Bruh, how the fuck do they say this? I was an H3 stan and like, even if you agree with them, the content has been non-comedy for a year. Alright, let's read a few more comments and then start closing some tabs here. In times like these, I'm glad there are people who can self-reflect on their own words. Being able to admit you were wrong is a great quality. She didn't say she was wrong. Where did she say she was wrong? She literally didn't say she was wrong. She just said that like, oh guys, I'm glorifying violence, but like, I don't want you to think I'm glorifying violence. I'm just trying to say that Israel's better because women can do war crimes. Like insane that this is her apology. It's not even an apology. It's just like, oh, let me try to come out ahead of this narrative that people are saying I'm a war criminal supporter. H3 has never disappointed me as far as self-awareness and apologies go. I mean, if you never expect it, how can you be disappointed? At this point, I just trust them to take accountability, and I'm never disappointed. I especially appreciate when they discuss on air together why something is wrong, particularly if it's in the moment. Those, oh my god, dude! Like, once again, Ethan is a massive disseminator of misinformation. I'm reminded of the time when Hassan went over a list of about 30 lies that was in the content nuke, and Ethan reacted to it. Every lie that he was called out for, he's like, okay, well, that wasn't important. Okay, well, that wasn't important. Okay, well, that wasn't important. That wasn't the main point of the video. 30 lies down the list. And then like a month later, he's like, that video that I put out was so well researched and so well documented, even though I had like a series of lies. And then when Noah Samson called him out for the lies in his content nuke, he sues him for defamation. How many of these people are Sex Pestiny fans, do you think? I'd say like 25 to 30%. I think a lot of them are, at least the people in this comment section, a lot of these people are just like completely in the cult of H3, and they're like, oh my god, King Ethan Klein and Hila Klein taking responsibility, even though she's still supporting women in the IDF and saying how fucking badass that is. That's so awesome. I wonder how many slurs he said behind the button. I don't know if it's straight up slurs so much as it is the intent behind the slurs in different words. Okay, so Hila removed the post. Raider of Ramallah clears the air. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to see. I am the OP that posted Hila's Instagram story. Thank you, Hila, Ethan, and the H3 family. My comments are locked on my original post, but I wanted to say thank you, Hila, so much for the acknowledgement in retracting your original story. It's heartwarming to know you didn't have those intentions. She literally did, dude. Holy fuck. And that we as a subreddit and community can have effective and respectful conversations. Like, she said the same thing, she just did it in a way that doesn't look as bad. I love you guys, and I love everyone who sent me sweet thoughts. My aunt just messaged us that she is safe currently. I'm wishing for the safety of Hila's family and everyone in Tel Aviv as well. Don't let snarkers tear us apart. Tear us apart. Family! Iranians and Israelis are so similar in nature, both amazing, warm people regardless of government. Yeah, okay. I don't know if 80% of the Iranian population is genocidal against Palestinians, but yeah, they're similar in nature. They're similar in nature. Okay, so this is something else that I wanted to cover. Ethan and Hila's stance on Iran and Israel. If you want, write this off as another fallen fan, as I imagine a lot of you will. I have not missed an H3 podcast since its conception. I could not believe some of the things said about Iran in the recent pod. Saying things like Iran are the driving force behind Hamas are just completely wrong. As a British expat who lives in and grew up in Saudi Arabia, hearing Ethan say, whatever you think about Israel, Iran are worse, and that Saudi Arabia hate Iran. As a Saudi Arabian resident, this is just not true. I cannot believe Ethan found a way to focus on the interception degree that affected 20 Israeli civilians and managed to brush aside anything about all the civilians in Iran that were hurt and affected. So yeah, Ethan, like, doing such blatant misinformation about Iran is actually getting called out here. So anyway, with that, let's see. Let's close some fucking tabs. Hila's apology. Iranian ballistic missile. I think we saw this already. Yeah, we saw this already. Hila's Instagram. Oh yeah, there are two types of people in the world. Have some conviction. I would like to apologize. Now, like, once again, she's like, I would like to apologize to myself because I made myself look bad. Let me try to make another post without actually changing the substance with anything. And then let's cut some of this down. Hassan was almost shot by a rubber bullet. That's crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna watch a little bit of this. I'm not gonna watch everything. I just want to see about measuring Galia and Ethan. Do they talk to Harley again? Is this guy just like a fucking contributor to the podcast now? Confronting Harley. The thing is happening. So unbearable to watch. North Korea and the UN should say, we came to an understanding and decided to discontinue our nuclear deterrence program, but only if Israel does the same with IAEA inspectors, including North Korea inspectors. Yeah, no, Ethan Klein is a lib through and through. So let's talk about, like, this is a pretty short segment. Let's just go through this segment, and then let's go through this segment and then probably call it. I've been streaming for a while.
Also,
I've added live.
Is anything happening? Should we just change the title to the Tarot Reader?
I probably.
That's what we suggested.
Oh, God.
Oh, Harley's logging on, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yep. Also, stand back and stand by. Okay, Harley, stop. You're not even on the call yet.
God.
Did you cut out that part from the last episode, Dan?
No, not yet.
Oh, wow. 22 casualties in Israel.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
I just saw that.
That's important to pull up.
Yeah.
We'll pull that up.
I didn't hear what. I'm trying to take care of the other thing now.
Okay, somebody got to be on the news updates.
Okay,
in the
what's
meantime,
up?
I'm going to thank our sponsor.
Okay, so when Hila Klein says 22 casualties in Israel, that could include people that were injured, because that's not the number that I have seen. This is the AP. Israel targeted Iran's defense ministry headquarters in Tehran and sites it alleged were associated with Iran's nuclear program. They slammed into buildings deep inside Israel. In Israel, at least 10 people were killed in Iranian strikes overnight and into Sunday, according to the Magen David Adom Rescue Service, bringing the country's total death toll to 14. So this was updated 9 hours ago, and the death toll was 14. So yes, there was not 22 people killed in Israel. But yeah, 224 people killed in Iran. 90% of the casualties, so 1,200 people hospitalized, and said over 90% of the casualties were civilians. Insane.
At game time. Game time is the ultimate place to go see sporting events. In fact, the Dodgers are playing tonight. And you can go grab some last-minute tickets at gametime.co. Code Ethan. You know what's great about Code Ethan? It gets you $20 off your first purchase. Yeah, 20. Take a look. Here's Dodger Stadiums for tonight's game. You get last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off from buying last minute for concerts, comedy, theater.
Why am I playing this ad?
Okay, well... So what's happening? That's like that's a new thing.
So they're sending ballistic missiles and they're hitting.
Yeah, no mentions of casualties in Gaza. That might be a good time to talk about this. So there were over like 250 people dead just trying to get food. This is the GHF, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that has been killing Palestinians. I mean, helping the IDF kill Palestinians as they come to get food. And just today, at least 8 Palestinians were killed and dozens more wounded on Sunday in a shooting near Israel. And U.S. support on food distribution points in Gaza Strip, according to health witnesses. Witnesses blamed the Israeli military, which did not immediately comment. So, like, every single day, there was dozens of people getting injured, like, tens of people getting killed simply getting food in an aid site that Israel says is a humanitarian way to get food because Hamas isn't getting the food. And they're killing 8, 6, 12. Like, they're just killing people every single day, shooting them. 200 Palestinians have been killed. Holy shit. 55,000 Palestinians dead. That's the official. But then there's more underneath the rubble, right? 90% of the population in Gaza has been displaced. About like 90% of the buildings in Gaza have been destroyed. Ethan hasn't talked shit about that. Oh, 10 Israelis get killed in bombs? Let's cry on air about that and do a breaking news segment. 55,000 Palestinians dead? We'll just say that it's 40,000 and we'll say like, you know, that's bad, but October 7th was horrific.
Well, pull it up, guys.
And also we'll say that the people that did the targeting on those Palestinians are heroes, as Hila Klein just did in her Instagram story.
The thing is that the IDF asked not to share footage because they don't want Iran to see where exactly things are hitting. So,
bro, that's such cope. Holy fuck, dude. Oh my god, guys, she literally just quoted that guy Joseph Haddad. Holy shit. Remember the fucking genocide enthusiast Joseph Haddad? Wait, it's not this. Who was the guy? It was Joseph Haddad. Remember this genocidal enthusiast that we looked at like an hour ago? She just quoted him. This is the guy who said that Al Jazeera journalists are spies and terrorists, not terrorist supporters, actual terrorists, because they are live streaming where the rockets are landing or where the missiles are landing in Tel Aviv. And Hila Klein just repeated what this genocide enjoyer said on his Instagram story. I mean, I guess this was 2 hours ago, but it's the same type of propaganda. Oh, the IDF doesn't want people to talk about where the missiles landed because that's giving information to Iran. Well, fuck the IDF. Fuck the IDF. They're going to do a complete information blackout. They're not going to let people understand what's happening in those areas because they're embarrassed that their buildings are getting destroyed by Iranian missiles. And Hila actually believes that somehow this is helping Iran. What the fuck is she thinking? She thinks Iran is watching the H3 podcast to see where the missiles landed? Insane. Insane, dude.
Pull it up, guys.
The thing,
dude, this is literally just the Am Israel High appearing tough, not allowing journalists in to show that Israel has actually been impacted by Iranian missiles, has actually not suffered any repercussions by their actions. This is just another example of Israeli propaganda. Oh, nothing to see here. Israel isn't getting bombed. They're doing fine. Don't show Israel having any kind of negative impacts based off of their actions. Don't show that Iran is actually having an impact on Israel. That's just what this is. The idea that Iran is somehow getting a benefit from, like, a tactical advantage from watching the H3 podcast or watching Al Jazeera's live stream to see where their missiles land is the most insane cope you can think of. And you have to be either brainwashed or a complete fucking baby-brained moron to believe that line.
Iran to see where exactly they're hitting.
So what's happening? That's like that's a new thing.
So they're sending ballistic missiles and they're hitting.
Well, pull it up, guys.
The thing is that the IDF asked not to share footage because they don't want.
Like, okay, sorry, I interrupted this.
The thing is that the IDF asked not to share footage because they don't want Iran to see where exactly things are hitting. So there isn't a lot of like.
Well, I don't want to see the
footage
impact.
being
I just want to see what's happening like on the skies.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
Dude, Ethan says to his podcast producer, pull up the footage of what's happening in Israel. In response to that, Hila Klein says that the IDF doesn't want that footage shared because that's going to give Iran a tactical advantage. If on our shitty little podcast, we show missile strikes happening from like cell phone footage, just insane cope. I also just have to say, if you watch this and you are like, if you are covering the story, you are concerned obviously for civilians. If you claim you are concerned for civilians, like obviously if you are a complete genocidal enthusiast, like that guy Yosef Hadar that we watched, like Hila Klein, you're not going to say you care about civilians. You're going to just bitch and moan about Israeli civilians being targeted, but then you're going to be completely enthusiastic about the bombing and the thousands of people in Iran that have been killed and injured by Israeli airstrikes. So that's what you're going to do if you're a genocidal enthusiast. But if you just say that, like, I'm in favor of civilians on both sides, and your gut reaction is to not immediately condemn Israel's completely offensive bombing against Iran as destabilizing to regional and global peace, then you have lost the plot. Then you are a racist piece of shit. Like, if Ethan Klein's like, oh my god, Israel's getting bombed, that's horrible. Israel never should have bombed Iran because, of course, Iran's going to retaliate. Like, dude, listen to how Ethan Klein talks about what's happening in Gaza. He says, Hamas did October 7th. The genocide that Israel did to Hamas was inevitable in response to that. So even if you disagree with that conclusion that Ethan Klein draws, which I of course do, you can't avoid the fact that he understands there to be some kind of retaliatory aspect to these conflicts. You can't ignore you can't deny that Ethan understands if something is done to a country, that country of course will respond back to it, right? That's the main substance of his argument with Sam Cedar. That was the main substance with his argument with Hassan Piker. If his gut reaction is to not apply that same logic to this exact scenario, then he is like an Israeli supremacist, and of course we know that he's racist too, right? I just think that it's so interesting where you have these two different scenarios that mirror each other. In one aspect, Israel was attacked, and because Israel was attacked, Ethan justifies Israel's response to that attack. And in this situation, Israel attacked Iran, so by Ethan's very logic, of course Iran would fire missiles back into Israel. Of course Iran would retaliate against Israel, right, Ethan? Don't you say that's inevitable? Wouldn't you spend time on your show justifying it? And wouldn't you, if you're trying to advocate for the end of this violence, if you're trying to advocate for the lives of Israeli civilians, wouldn't you argue that Israel should stop bombing Iran and then Iran will stop bombing Israel? Because when he says, oh, we need to end the genocide in Gaza, he doesn't call it a genocide, he calls it a war. He says Hamas needs to give up the hostages, Hamas needs to surrender, and then Israel will stop. So he blames the people that are getting bombed, right? So by that very logic, wouldn't you say there should be a regime change in Israel and the Israeli citizens need to overthrow their government in order to not get bombed anymore? But we know Ethan Klein is racist. We know that he thinks Arabs are lesser than white people and Israelis. And of course, he's extremely biased as well. So I just think that it's so interesting where he blames Hamas for getting Palestinians genocided. And what's he going to blame now? Oh, well, of course Israel needed to bomb Iran because Iran was going to make nukes. Iran was funding Hamas. It all comes back to October 7th, right? Yeah. Hila doesn't want the viewers in Israel to post their own videos of the bombing. I know, maybe, I actually am kind of curious. Let's take a look. What is in this subreddit right here? Are there any videos of the bombing? What's this? Oh, National Guard, these nuts. Maybe they've been banning, maybe they've been like nuking anything about the missiles in Israel off the subreddit. Like, I do like how they're literally doing IDF propaganda on their subreddit. Oh my god, guys, look, this Hassan clip that they posted is giving Iran a tactical advantage because they can use this very skyline and angle to understand where their missile hit. Not like they're just throwing like hundreds of missiles at Tel Aviv and hoping that one or two get through. It's not like they're doing that at all. I mean, just fucking crazy. They're actually not letting any examples of Israel getting bombed on their subreddit. Is there anything? Protest, Ethan Klein, Will Smith. Gary Oldman, Hila apologizing. What is that? Jordan Peterson. Don't care. Gets distracted. Is this the guy Harvey? Or I don't know. Is his name Harvey or Harley? They're really just banning all posts. They're literally just doing IDF propaganda on here. Oh, don't show any images of Israel being damaged because that's making Israel look bad on the global stage. Holy shit, there's actually no posts of damage in Israel. Crazy. I'm sure people are posting it. The mods are working overtime to enforce this. Do we have anything? I'll scroll for another 30 seconds. Not 30 seconds, I'll scroll for another 10 seconds. Oh, this guy, flatten Tel Aviv. Oh my god, he said Tel Aviv, tactical advantage to Iran. They know what city their bombs are landing in. Okay, and 3, 2, 1, nothing. Nothing in here. Nothing. Wow. I actually can't believe it. They're literally being like, no images of Israel being hurt at all. No images of Israel being compromised at all. There's definitely a thread in there of them saying, guys, the IDF told us not to post these.
We'll go to live news.
I just sent you what Hila sent.
Here, Ed is probably showing. Here's just a little NBC News update.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. There's Iranian agents watching right now, Ethan.
Escalation. And that is the big concern, Kier, looming over
Dude, Hila's grinding her teeth right now.
all of this. Could this not ensnare not only the wider region, but the United States? Kier, quickly talk about the targets that Israel hit in Iran, its nuclear facilities. How damaging a blow was Israel able to pull off?
Well, we've seen the smoke over Natanz. We've seen...
Let me see what's happened with the fatalities in Israel. That is a
They
new...
fucking mute it as soon as they get to the analysis. Holy shit, Ethan. Jesus Christ.
So it was
It's a very-
casualties. So
Oh,
it
that
might
doesn't
not
mean
be-
deaths?
No, I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm still getting that that
Yeah, me too.
Right,
terminology.
casualties, I thought mean dead.
I learned that last week, actually. So
Holy fuck, dude. They literally learned it last week. This guy learned it last week. Ethan and Hila learned it today that casualties mean injured. Oh my god, they're so dumb. Like, this is what I was confused about because I think when they were talking, they were talking about how like Hassan spread misinformation because he said that there were 500 casualties in that one hospital bombing that people or that Israel said the IDF or that Israel said Islamic Jihad did. And there was 500 casualties, but the media misreported it as 500 dead, but it was 500 casualties, which mean dead and injured. Goddamn, bro. These people are fucking dumb. They've been covering this for how long? And they just learned that casualties means injured and dead?
it might not be. 22
Israel claims
deaths.
Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles, made a few hits. Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles, made a few hits. Some of those were interception debris. There could be more barrages later.
Holy fuck, read the actual article. Some of those hits were from interception debris. Some of those were intercepted. He doesn't even know what he's reading. He doesn't know what he's saying. Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles toward Israel on Friday night and made a few hits, the Israeli military claimed. Some of those hits were from interception debris, so basically rockets that exploded in the sky, and then the debris of those rockets landed in Israel. There could be more barrages later in the night.
Later tonight, urging civilians to stay in shelter. Where's it say about the casualties? I was just listening to news on the way here. I didn't hear anything like that.
Just look it up.
I was hearing that
I
nobody
didn't see anything like that on the news feed. So.
There is a lot of just lots of random information right now flowing on Instagram. So some are not yet totally
not corrupt.
She goes to Instagram to get her information? How do you even get information off of Instagram? She's going on to guys like Yosef Haddad's Instagram feed? Holy god damn, bro. This show is really just fucking garbage. It's like a dumpster. It's a dumpster of information, man. You're getting the bottom of the barrel. It's shitty information sources presented to you by stupid people. That's what this show is. Stupid people with a bias towards a genocidal ethno-state, too.
corroborated yet, yes.
wow.
But there's gonna be soon.
Why are you looking at Instagram?
This is like from Israelis probably who are getting the news quick.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey.
Just look up an
Pentagon
article.
saying, what are they watching?
Well, the Pentagon's not telling us anything, frankly. I mean, they haven't spoken. We've gotten no statement out of the Secretary of Defense. But officials who we are talking to say that, in fact, the United States did help Israel defend from this enormous barrage of projectiles, including estimates of more than 100 ballistic missiles that came from Iran fired towards Israel. Now, the U.S. used ground-based interceptors to help with this. That's the THAAD, the Patriot. Those are both ground-based missile defense interceptors.
So there's U.S. troops on the ground helping defend Israel from their illegal war crimes. God damn, bro.
That had the ability to take on various ranges, including even medium-range ballistic missiles. The U.S. has other things, though.
NBC News is an Iran terror unit showing where the Iranian strikes landed in Tel Aviv.
The region that could help.
That looks insane,
if, in
dude.
fact, Iran continues to
you
target.
ever play that game, Rocket Defense, like back in the day, where you just click and it shoots up rockets?
I love that missile defense. I think is what it was called.
Yeah, it's literally that.
The old
Nearby in the
arcade
Red
game.
Sea, they've been used in the past to help defend Israel, but they also have aircraft, fighter jets, fighter squadrons there that have also in the past been used to try to defend Israel. You'll recall that during one of these back and forths between Israel and Iran last year, U.S. aircraft were in the air shooting down drones that were flying from Iran to Israel, taking them out, Kristen. But again, at this point,
right now.
all that was used were these ground-based interceptors in this current salvo by the Iranians.
So I don't know if there was an update. Seems more like
There's 22 injured. I do see it on Israeli news, yeah. There's
so. But
22 injured.
No deaths, or we don't know anything.
There's a few in critical condition, meaning usually that means they could die.
This is definitely going to be.
Bro, I can't get over it. On the same day, we're like, now probably like almost 300 Palestinians have been killed trying to get food from the IDF, and they haven't mentioned it a single time. They're gonna cry that 2 people are in critical condition. Oh my god. Ethan's like, geez, critical condition. That sounds really bad. You're not gonna talk about the airstrikes that the IDF did, where they killed 224 people, 70 women and children killed, over 1,200 casualties. Holy shit, dude. I mean, I know they're biased towards Israel, but make it a little believable that you care about both sides.
I mean, the Israelis said it's a war now, and it's this is going down. This is like the war that's been brewing for a long time.
90% civilian casualties.
Israelis in our chat right now. They're in the safe rooms.
I want to say that whatever you think about Israel, Iran is bad or worse. They are the fucking evil. They are the evil fucking. They're the reason for all this bullshit. Like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis. They're all attacking under the direction of Iran. They are all being.
So Ethan's like, oh yes, Israel is getting bombed because they did an illegal aggressive action on Iran. Also, the way Israel bombed Iran is way worse than what Iran's doing to Israel. But now let me sit here and justify what Israel did to Iran. Wow, love to see it. Instead of being like, I condemn civilian casualties on both sides. I just wish this violence would stop. You're going to sit there and be like, Iran's bad. And actually, they shouldn't fire back at Israel because the attacks Israel did on Iran are completely justified. Just amazing. Beautiful stuff. All right, what do we got here from YouTube chatter Rory? Atonement for us. Interesting post.
These jihadists, fucking Islamists, like mega, like these ultra, you know, I don't even know how to say it, militant, super religious zealots, right? This is all coming from Iran under their direction, you know. So, you know, and what's interesting is that even you know who hates the Iranian government the most? Iranians.
The people.
Every fucking Iranian you ask is like,
Iranians.
Fuck them. I can't wait for them to be gone.
Israelis and Iranians actually have like a really good connection. They
dude.
Always cheering for each other because, I mean, a lot of Jewish Persians are in Israel from Iran.
Yeah.
And so it's a very, there's a strong bond between the people. Some of my best friends are in Israel are Persian.
I see a lot of activists supporting
oh my god, dude.
Israel who are...
I'm just trying to read some of these comments right now. Yeah, they're Islamists. It's like, they're just... they're Islamists. It sounds like Lindsey Graham. Fucking Islamists. He was like, some of my... the Iranians that aren't in Iran anymore. Some of my best friends. Okay. Yeah, obviously... it's not justified to bomb Iran and kill 90% civilians. That's not justified. I don't know why Ethan's insisting on trying to justify. It's not justified to target Hamas. Like, nothing that Israel's doing is justified. And the idea that he's like saying Iran is worse than the IDF is insane. Show me the genocide that Iran did. Like, can you show me the active genocide that Iran is doing right now, where they're starving out a population in order to expand their borders? Can you show me that? Can you show me the concentration camp like conditions that Iran has a minority group in? Can you show me that too? Like, god damn, bro, these people have no idea what Israel's doing. They're just so lost in the sauce of Israeli propaganda that they're just like in a different world. They're just in a different world.
Iran, or if supporting Israel in this conflict against Iran specifically, not supporting the horrific.
Here we go. Here's a commenter. Israel bombs Iranian soil, calls it defense. U.S. intercepts missiles to keep it one-sided. If that's independence, why are American tax dollars shielding a foreign military gamble? Honestly, like a commenter that called this shit out.
The Ayatollah.
Crimes. Yeah. What? Say what?
The Ayatollah.
No, the Ayatollah is evil. Everybody.
Also, notice how Hila talks about how the Iranian people and the Israeli people are similar because there's a lot of Persians in Israel, there's a lot of Iranians in Israel. Like we saw Avi Shlaim, who talked about how he was Iranian and his family was Iranian first and Jewish second. They identified as Iranian, but yeah, of course, if you live in Israel and you see Iran as the enemy of Israel, you're going to talk about how we're Persian. We're not Iranian. We're Persian. Like, stripping people of thousands of years of identifying with that culture, and now they're like, no, I'm don't worry, I'm not Iranian. I'm Persian. Because of how Israel considers Iran the enemy and how it considers Arabs the enemy.
I hate the Ayatollah.
Right.
They fuck these guys, you know what I mean? Like, And so far, it does seem like the strikes that Israel's done in Iran, from what I can tell, have been very targeted.
Very strategic. It seems they've been playing it for a long time.
So there's...
Yeah. Yeah, oh, it's so great. You killed 90% civilians. Very strategic. Yeah. Like, sure, they were strategic and doing terror upon Iran.
It's not, you know... There's not... As far as I've heard, any, or at least not massive civilian casualties. And
I mean, you're a fucking moron. Why are you... Please tell me the crew corrects him on this. Yeah, I would agree with the hash smoking stoner. He's taking heroic doses of Ozempic. That's a good way to put it. You can say that it's Hassan induced, where he wanted to look hot like Hassan, but no, he has pharmaceutical help.
In Iran?
I heard of civilian casualties. I mean, nothing obviously compared to Gaza, but it was definitely more targeted.
Where did you hear that? Because I haven't seen that.
No, it actually, I guess in Gaza, it's probably like 96% civilian death rate. In Iran, it's just 90% civilian death rate, which I would say is still pretty comparable. So AB can shut the fuck up. Oh, it's nothing like him compared to Gaza. No, it's pretty comparable. Come on, have some balls.
Wall Street Journal, let me see. I believe it was Wall Street Journal. Let me see.
Can you pass that?
Can I fact check you?
But it is definitely seems to be targeted. But hopefully there's no civilian deaths. If there are, that's horrible. Because like I said, the Iranian public has got to be... Dude, fuck the Ayatollah.
They're terrible.
They're like the worst. They're the problem with every fucking...
Yeah, it's almost like they've killed like 55,000 people and just completely starving a population. They're the worst.
Thing in that. It's funny. I feel like everyone blames a lot on Israel. And listen, Israel is a shit stirrer, and they're fucking mass murdering people in Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
They're a shit stirrer? Once again, dude, he just can't say genocide. He also says, oh, they're mass murdering people in Gaza. That's easy to say. Let's get into the details. Come on, my boy. Let's get into the details. You pulled up a story of 2 people in Israel that weren't even dead, but were in critical condition. And you mentioned that. 2 people. Israel's killed over 55,000 people officially, starving out millions more, and with hundreds of thousands of people potentially buried under the rubble in Gaza. Right? You haven't said shit about it, other than every now and then you'll say, oh, they're mass murdering people in Gaza. But you don't get into any of the details of it at all, because you can't stand to. Israel's a shit stirrer.
But Iran is like is this driving force behind Hamas.
Oh, Iran is the real... What's he going to say? Iran is the real villain? Everything you think Israel does, Iran is worse. I mean, I do have to appreciate how much he has completely bought into the Israeli propaganda. Everything wrong in the world, Iran's fault. Ethan wakes up, stubs his toe in the morning. Before he'd say Hassan, but now it's Iran, because Iran actually it funds Hassan, right? He's made comments that Hassan is funded by terror before. Why wouldn't he say this?
You know. So it's kind of crazy too, because this war always seems so dangerous, right? And because of Hezbollah and the Houthis.
The war already seems dangerous? Are you a fucking idiot? Is he trying to say that Israel deserves to fight a war that's not dangerous?
And Hamas was like, oh, if you ever attack Iran, we're going to do like a full-scale assault. Now that Israel's attacked Iran, Hezbollah literally put out a press release saying, we're not responding.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're out of this shit. That's fucking crazy. Assad is gone. Hezbollah is standing down. Hamas is like not operational. As far as I could tell, Hamas hasn't even shot any rockets in response to this. The Houthis, I think.
The Houthis
sent a few rockets that hit like Arab cities.
Yes, Palestinian territories.
Yeah.
Dude, they're reveling in the fact that it was the Palestinians that were hit. It was the Palestinian cities that were hit, while they don't understand that the IDF doesn't protect Palestinian cities with air defense systems. They don't have Iron Dome over Palestinian cities, either in the West Bank or within Israel proper. They fucking segregate Palestinians so they live in massively overcrowded cities that are underserved. And part of those services that they don't have is air defense systems and rocket shelters, bomb shelters. They don't have the fucking defense. Oh my god. They're like, oh, dude, these people are so fucking evil. They're like, Hezbollah, or they say, the Houthis are so dumb. They launched rockets, but the only cities they hit were Palestinian cities. Aren't the Houthis dumb? They're going against their cause. Israel designed their defense systems so that the cities that would be the most or the least defended are Palestinian cities. And you're gonna chuckle about that as how stupid the Houthis are? That's the way Israel functions. It completely you are the one that tries to make the point that Israel isn't segregationist, that it doesn't have an apartheid state within Israel's borders, when it quite literally does. Oh my god, dude. Holy shit. I mean, Ethan's so fucking racist too. Because he's like, oh, don't you think it's ironic that Hamas has a Lebanese hostage that's Muslim? Why would they do that? Why would Hamas attack Muslim people? Even Muslims were killed on October 7th. Aren't they dumb? Like he thinks all Muslims work together and all Muslims just have this genetic connection that they can telepathically communicate and understand that they're on the same side. Like he literally thinks it's just Israelis versus Muslims and Arabs. I mean, goddamn, bro.
Hamas is not operational. As far as I could tell, Hamas hasn't even shot any rockets in response to this. The Houthis, I think,
Houthis launched a few.
sent a few rockets that hit Arab cities.
Yes, Palestinian territories.
Yeah.
Once again, Ethan, I thought you were the one that made the point that there are a lot of Arab Jews within Israel, and now you're going to be like, it's Arab cities. Oh my god, he's just so fucking racist.
Oh, overall, what my favorite flag? Hezbollah. I'm not even kidding. It's actually a dope flag.
So right now, Iran is looking extremely vulnerable and defenseless, frankly. And I think the Ayatollah is evil. You know what I mean? So getting rid of them.
Oh, yeah. So you're just advocating for Israel to assassinate the leader of Iran. Oh, do you think that if Hassan said Benjamin Netanyahu should be assassinated, that would be a good thing? What the fuck is this man doing?
Would not be a bad thing at all. But, obviously Israel tends to take things too far, so we're just going to have to hope and pray that
bombing Iran in the first place is taking it too far.
That's not the case here, because I really do think that the Iranian public stands against their government.
Mm-hmm. Big time.
Yeah. Is Harley in the waiting room? Yeah, pop our boy in. Yeah.
Remember when AB said that civilians were killed in Iran, and then Ethan said, send that article over to me because I don't think that's the case, and then they never fact-checked it? So what you have here is Ethan Klein making the positive claim that no civilians were killed in Iran, and it was extremely tactical and targeted, the strikes were that Israel did. AB speaks up and says, no, actually there were civilians killed. Not anywhere near the amount killed in Gaza, but there were a lot of civilians killed. Ethan says, send that over to me, because I thought that they were very targeted. So basically you have a disagreement, you have a positive claim by Ethan, minor pushback from his producer, and then Ethan kind of overrides that. And then I thought, I was under the assumption we were going to pull up the information to get to the bottom of it. Let's see if we do. But as it is now, it looks like Ethan Klein got that information. It disproved what he said, and he chose to not pull it up and read it on his show.
Yeah, the Houthis hit a Palestinian village in Hebron. That was their help.
Mm-hmm.
That's the peace activist.
Thanks, guys.
Houthis.
Holy fuck. Dude, he's actually such an evil demon. Bro is actually just going demon mode. And when I say demon mode, I mean he's manifesting Satan at laughing that the Houthis bombed a Palestinian village within Israel. Look at this fucking monster, dude. I'm sure AB will bring it up later. Dude, look at this fucking monster. Once again, the reason that Palestinians die when Israel gets bombed, more so than non-Palestinian Israelis, is because Palestinians are segregated into essentially ghettos that are underserved, and they don't have missile air defenses, and they don't have bomb shelters. And so it's a lot harder to survive rocket fire that generally goes into Israel when you don't have those anti-rocket defense measures. And so, yes, of course, those areas are going to get bombed. I'm sure the vast majority of those Houthi rockets were aimed at Tel Aviv and not those Palestinian cities. But even if only like 2% of the rockets went into those Palestinian cities, a lot of Palestinians are going to die in Israel. And this fucking monster is like, oh my god, these Arab fundamentalist groups, or these Arab extremist groups like the Houthis, they try to kill Israel, but they only end up killing more Arabs. Isn't that funny? The irony there, like, he's literally laughing because in his mind, it's the Jews versus the Arabs in Ethan's mind. And any Arab that's dead is kind of like helping the Jews, and it's hurting the Arabs, right? He does not understand the concept that there are Israeli Palestinians that are or Palestinian Israelis that are underserved by the IDF, and that's why they're dying more. He's just such a fucking sick monster of a human being, actually chuckling that underserved Palestinians in Israel are suffering because of the consequences of a colonial government that forced them to be under their control through no actual agency of the Palestinians that live within Israel. A colonial group took control of the land, said that we're ruling over you now, and then they did genocidal actions. They've done expansionist policies that have caused violent repercussions, and because they are an underserved minority group in a racist ethno-state of a country, they are the ones that take the brunt force of the repercussions of Israel. And Ethan Klein's sitting there laughing to himself that it's the Palestinians of Israel that are getting killed because he thinks that's ironic. Oh, Houthis want to help Palestinians, but they end up killing Palestinians. Isn't that funny? What a fucking freak, dude. Honestly disgusting.
Yeah, pop our boy in. Yeah, the Houthis hit a Palestinian village in Hebron. That was their help.
Mm-hmm.
That's the peace activist.
Thanks, guys.
Houthis.
He's literally laughing. What a demon.
So that's what's going on.
Give them the Nobel Peace Prize, right?
Yeah, and by the way,
yeah.
I know people are like worried about World War III and like a huge regional war. I'm not going to do a Hassan here and be like, I mark my words. This is what it is. But this is my take on it. Obviously, I could be wrong. Everybody in the region hates Iran. Saudi Arabia fucking hates Iran. Nobody wants them to get nuclear bombs. It will destabilize the entire region, right?
It will destabilize the entire region, basically meaning that Israel's no longer going to be able to have absolute supremacy over every other neighbor in that region. It will destabilize the region. No, I think it would actually stabilize the region. Like, I'm not for nuclear weapons, but when there are imperialist states that insist on just doing whatever they care for, whatever they care to their neighbors in the region, it does seem like nuclear weapons are the only way to deter it. And so if you can have a situation where Iran gets nuclear weapons and uses it as a deterrence, and then there is denuclearization across the world, I feel like that'd probably be the ideal point, because let's just be honest, Iran getting nukes is a pathway to a lot less deaths than Israel doing a full-scale invasion of Iran to try to do a regime change with the backing of the United States. That would lead to a lot more people getting killed than simply Iran getting nuclear weapons.
If Hezbollah, if Hamas, if Syria isn't coming to their defense, nobody is. Jordan hates Iran, Saudi Arabia.
Dude, holy shit, what the fuck are you talking about? Hamas isn't coming to the defense of Iran? What the actual fuck are you talking about? Hamas has been decimated. Iran's the one that funds those people. Why are you acting like its proxies in the region can meaningfully impede Israel in their attack?
Arabia hates Iran. Iranians hate the government of Iran. And when I say hates Iran, I mean the Ayatollah.
The government, yeah.
Because the Persian people are amazing, resilient, incredible people. And you've seen some of these really brave protesters protesting this theocratic, tyrannical government that they have there, and the harsh punishments that they've received. Ethan's hat doesn't fit. I know, it's too big.
It's too big?
It also looks shitty. Like, that hat looks like shit.
It's too big. There's just too voluminous.
You probably wore it when you had long hair.
Too voluminous.
I don't think... Okay, whatever. Harley, nice to see you. We're doing a Goss talk about the war between Israel and Iran.
Grant Stefan's a Jew.
Is that right? Okay, that's not relevant, Harley. We don't need to...
No, I didn't... Yeah. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Yeah.
Everybody
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
All
I'm
right.
doing okay. I'm worried. Did you send me this article about Iran? What's happening in Iran? Let's see.
Yeah, from Reuters.
Let's see
Okay, here Reuter. I've never heard anyone say it has Reuters before. Maybe that's how ChatGPT says it. Remember, AB uses ChatGPT to do fact checking, and he's like the head fact checker.
Iran fires missiles at Israel in response to attacks. Latest development: Iran launches missiles. Trump urges Iran to halt bombing. Where's its? I'm trying to see the damage in Iran.
There's like a bunch of burning, like what it seems like to be apartments. So it seems very likely that civilians probably.
Yeah, it does.
It says 80 civilians, according to Iranian media.
Iran state news agency IRNA said Tehran launched. Oh, wait, why does he keep talking about their missiles? Iran's Operation Netanyahu.
Ethan learns how articles work. One part of the article talks about one thing, another part talks about a different thing.
Here, attacks on Iran. Iranian media showed images of destroyed apartment blocks in Iran. Said nearly 80 civilians were killed, including the target was a nuclear scientist.
Yeah.
How fucking stupid is this man? Why would he say their target was a nuclear scientist when it says they were killed in attacks that targeted nuclear scientists? Like, he misreads this shit, and it changes the information that it's trying to convey. So they were targeting multiple nuclear scientists in their beds, which, let's get this straight, that's illegal. You can't target scientists with bombings. Like, that's a war crime right there. Scientists are civilians. And then they did the classic Israel thing where they targeted the apartment buildings of the scientists. Like, that's what they do. They try to kill as many, Israel will target people that they think is important, but they'll just do so with absolutely no regard to civilian death. And so they target they shoot their target, or they bomb their targets when they're stationary. So when they're asleep in their bed, in their apartment building, in their house. And that's why you get instances where entire families are wiped out, because Israel will actually wait until their target walks home, and then they'll just bomb the entire house rather than bombing the person on their way home, because they think that they have a higher chance of actually taking the target out when they're in a stationary location.
Israel's military said it was striking Iranian missiles.
Notice how he doesn't say that it wounded more than 300 people. And he's like, oh, well, it was only nearly 80 civilians. So what is that, like 79? Come on.
And drone launching sites, and had struck another nuclear site in Isfahan. An Israeli military spokesperson denied Iranian media reports that an Israeli fighter jet was downed. In a phone interview with Reuters, Trump said nuclear